What's up, everyone, and welcome to Shared Save the Game Media's weekly gaming discussion podcast. I'm your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we are recapping the State of Play, Summer Game Fest, and the Xbox Game Showcase, talking about each and every game announced, revealed, showcased during this wonderful E3-esque season. To join me on that journey, my lovely co-host, as always, Sam Heaney. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, doing pretty well, man. Pretty good. Relieved that I was about to say that I'm relieved that the show season is over, but I'm not really. I'm kind of sad because it's always fun doing live reacts and seeing all the news and announcements. But it will come around sooner than we expect. I'm sure it's gonna. When's the next one?
Well, we'll have a state of play, probably Nintendo Direct September, I imagine, or October, maybe after Wolverine. They usually have something in the fall, and then you obviously have the Game Awards is the big one in the winter developer Direct. So like I feel like every few months we have something going on at least.
They still do opening night live as well, don't
yes,
they?
Yes.
So not that that's usually ever really a massive show, but
to be fair, we said the same thing about Summer Game Fest.
Very true. He's cooking.
Yes, Keely knows what's up. So, yes, everyone, you are getting this podcast late, not our normal Thursday because we did wait for all the showcases. There is rumors of a Nintendo Direct this week, but I imagine we'll just cover that on our normal Shared Save episode. If that does happen, it has not been confirmed by Nintendo as of today. We are recording June 8th, Monday. So this is going to be a little bit different episode, everyone. We'll do the housekeeping. We're going to skip what you're playing because we have a lot to talk about in terms of these showcases. Thursday, we will be back live 7 p.m. Eastern Time, youtube.com/Save the Game Media. And that'll be a normal episode, what you're playing, news. You know the rigmarole. Let's jump into it, though. So, as I said, join us normally Thursdays on youtube.com/Save the Game Media. We usually post every Sunday on your audio platform of choice. It's 9:30 in the morning, everyone. All right, give me a break. While you're over there, please drop us a 5-star review. It does help us in the algorithm. If you want to support us even further, get early audio access to all Save the Game Media content and exclusive bonus content like monthly Q&As and exclusive Shared Save episodes, head over to patreon.com/Save the Game Media. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current supporters. So thank you to Sam Hall, Alpaca Tom, Rick Davis, Silkenet, Dave Harp, David Hotright, Lillian, Marcus O'Neill, Nikolai at Night, Fabulous Brianna, Black Wyver, David Burdett, Dinglebaum, and Savoy Prime. Thank you all for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Sam, I have every single game listed here for every showcase.
Hooray.
And I think we're going to go, I think we'll go in order of the showcases, which means we're going to start with the State of Play recap. Obviously, this is about a week ago at this point. We live reacted this. That video is live on the channel. And we're just going to go through. I have about 22 games, if my count is correct here, if I didn't miss anything. So, yeah, let's kick it off. They started with a new trailer for Wolverine. It's about 10 minutes long. It gave us a lot of uninterrupted combat sequences, showed some traversal through the environments. It also introduced Jean Grey, obviously, into the lore, the universe of Wolverine and the Spider-Man game. So it's all one big connected Insomniac verse. What did you think about this deep dive?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's undeniably looking pretty excellent. Not that we really had any doubt with Insomniac at this point. I will say the one thing I'm maybe slightly lacking, not that I really need to see anymore because I'll be playing it regardless, but seeing presumably, I don't think that they've officially confirmed this. Obviously, they've said it's a more sort of linear, tighter experience, not open world. But if there are these kind of like zones to explore, I maybe would have been interested in seeing just a glimpse of what that looks like. Are there sort of just roaming little clusters of enemies in these zones and you can pick different paths to go down? What maybe like give a hint of like collectibles? Are there any kind of like side activity optional things to do? That's still very much up in the air. So I don't know whether we will hear anything about that before launch. But even if we don't, I think that it showed very strongly. I think the most exciting thing for me, frankly, is the idea that Insomniac are trending back, at least in part, towards more mature games.
Mm.
Obviously, I love Ratchet and Clank. Spider-Man's great, but as someone who is vehemently in love with Resistance, I think that the concept that modern Insomniac is comfortable with a lot of blood and gore and maybe going for a more serious story, that's exciting. Not that it suggests anything outside of Wolverine, just that they still have those chops.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I personally think 10 minutes is too long, and we'll touch on that when we get to another game towards the end of the showcase for sure here. I've been sold on Wolverine for a while now. I didn't even need another big deep dive. I think this sets up more of the story. Obviously, we know after the fact this is a world that exists without the X-Men. I think they said that like Team X or X Team, I forget what they were called, right? But Logan rejoins that, which I guess Jean is a part of, and they're trying to save like mutants that are being hunted down. So I'm totally cool with that premise. I think it's a little weird that the X-Men don't exist yet, and obviously maybe that's something that gets formed as the games go on. This is totally like a personal preference. I don't love the way some of the like suits and especially like I don't like Jean's jacket at all, but like the visual language of Insomniac's like Marvel characters, I don't particularly love it. I'm going to play it. I love Wolverine. I'm always down for more stories like that. But I do wish they kind of looked a little different. That's just me, especially when you see like the next game we talk about, where I think that visual style is so like phenomenal. Just a small nitpick, but like I think there's a lot in this trailer that just scream they know what they're doing. One thing I clocked in on was like the regenerating health, because Wolverine, obviously, like due to the experiments on him, like he just heals himself. So I think that is it's something they didn't have to do, but like I'm glad they did because it makes sense contextually for the character. You would expect that from Insomniac. They're so masterful at these types of things. But yeah, I'm really excited. September 15th, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
How do you feel? Access. Yeah, I was gonna say no early access, which I think is strange, considering most games are doing early access these days. And then no collector's edition, which I know you're probably upset about.
I mean, my wallet is relieved, but yeah, I find it strange that they wouldn't do that. I guess maybe we don't have a definitive answer on how long this game is.
You gotta think like 15.
I would
hours.
Yeah, I mean, I would wager that it's shorter than Spider-Man 2, and that was in sort of like 15 to 20 hours. So I would say somewhere between 10 and 15. And people were up in arms about Spider-Man 2 being short, so I can't wait for that discourse on this game. But I prefer that if that's what they can do and make sure that it's high quality, then perfectly fine. It seems a missed opportunity to not do a collector's edition because it would sell. And I've spoken multiple times about, it seems like a no-brainer to do, not that they won't do it, but like a dual sense for the game, do covers for the Pro because it's got the claw marks down the sides of the Pro anyway. Seems like a foregone conclusion, but yeah, I don't know whether that's just a restraint, thinking that they don't want people buying a massive collector's edition for a game that is on the short side. But
I've seen some people say that maybe the collector's editions aren't selling well enough to justify it, because you can still buy, I think, the Spider-Man 2 collector's edition from PlayStation. So like it doesn't seem they're selling out of what is meant to be a limited quantity. And I see that for a lot of games, to be honest. Like just random games, Wario 64 will tweet, hey, this collector's edition is available, and it's like a year after the fact.
That's true. I have seen like Death Stranding 2s as well is still available. So maybe I'm sort of out of touch on that. I mean, I bought many of them anyway, but yeah, maybe there is less demand now as things have gotten more expensive just generally in the economy. Or I don't know whether that's been a more long-standing issue. I'm not sure. I think time will tell, really, if there are collector's editions for the games that they're putting out next year, like
Mhm.
Intergalactic and maybe even Laufey. It's maybe if they don't have anything, I don't think they'll do them anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, day one, I assume, for both of us.
Yeah.
Marvel Tokon showed up next with the Knights of Doom revealed. The next team, there's only one team after this left to be revealed, which is probably Midnight Suns-esque because it's got Ghost Rider, right? So this team is Doctor Doom, Magneto, Green Goblin, and Carnage, which, again, I was just talking, I love the visual style of this game. I think I think Arc System Works is just absolutely nailing the aesthetic. Green Goblin being playable looked awesome, and then Carnage, I think for some reason I thought Venom was in the game. They're not. Going with Carnage is I like it. It's like I love Carnage. I love Venom and Carnage as Spider-Man villains in general, but you always see Venom get the spotlight obviously more because he is the big one. But the fact they're doing Carnage and he looks so good. This isn't a day one game for me still. This is like I'll play it if it comes to PS Plus or like a really deep discount because it is. I like Guilty Gear Strive a lot, but these tag fighters, especially 4v4, not really my jam, but game looks amazing.
Yeah, I think it's surprising because it seemed like for a while there, Tokon was kind of on shaky ground, like optically with people that were playing it. But then have seriously obviously put in the work and made adjustments and changes, and it seems like the conversation around the game is almost 180'd, and now people are very, very excited about it. I think that also this is probably the best team so far.
In terms of hype, I think so.
Yeah, like there's no doubt that a few of the other character reveals since the initial roster have been cool, but I think Magneto, Green Goblin, and Carnage aren't only like sort of fan favorite, very cool picks in and of themselves, but they are outside of maybe Magneto, who's a bit more of a staple. The other two are kind of, as you suggested, like left field picks. And I think that helps to make this game feel a little bit more different to just another Marvel fighter, which inherently it is, but it cements its own identity a little bit more. And I think that can only work in the game's favor. So,
yep. So August 4th for that one, I believe, or 6th, something like it's the beginning of August.
I think it's 6th.
6th. Okay, August 6th. Next up, we got the long rumored and kind of leaked beforehand Rayman Legends Retold coming to all platforms on October 1st. This is a remake of Rayman Legends. I was really impressed by this one, if I'm being honest. When they said they were remaking Rayman Legends, I was like, okay, cool. I like Rayman Legends as a game. Like I played it just a few years ago for the first time, actually. I think this looks extraordinary. The fact that they're taking it into like a 2.5 and then 3D sections. This instantly makes me interested. Obviously, we have a partnership with Ubisoft. We get some of their games for review, so this is certainly one I will be trying to snag for coverage. But yes, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I was certainly a fan of Rayman for the original first few games into the PS2, and then I sort of dropped out. I obviously have played Legends, but beyond that, I've sort of been out of the loop. So this, when I heard this was leaked or whatever, I think it might have been the key art that popped up ahead of time. I thought, that's cool. I'm not really going to probably jump into that. But then we saw the gameplay and how impressive it looked. And I think that might not be a day one necessarily, but I will certainly be getting to it shortly after release, especially if the reviews are strong.
Yeah, and I think it's a $40 game if I remember correctly. So it's not full price. And you also, this is probably a good talking point, you also get a copy of Rayman Origins Remastered if you get the game. So they're giving you 2 games essentially. Bancho the Chef got a trailer. It just says now in development for PS5. I assume other platforms at some point, although I could not find confirmation of it. I think they're just sticking to this right now. This is a prequel to Dave the Diver, starring the chef in that game. I don't particularly have much to say about this. It looked very Cooking Mama-esque. You're making the food. Dave the Diver is kind of blowing up in a way I don't think anyone really expected, and I'm glad to see them trying to capitalize on that.
Yeah, and I think it's a cool way to expand the saying universe sounds a bit dumb, but it's like it's a natural progression. I
Hmm.
think if you're going to try and milk the IP as much as possible whilst it's relevant, then this seems like a foregone conclusion.
Next up, we got Kamuri gameplay reveal. This is from Nakamura, I believe her name
Hmm.
is. She's been a lot of places. She was at, I think, Capcom. Then she went to Clover when they left, Platinum. I think she was at, was she at Tango? She was at Tango,
She was,
right?
yeah.
Yes. So this is her next game. I don't know how to feel about this one. I've rewatched, obviously, I watched all these showcases a few times at this point with live reacts and stuff, seeing how other people think. I don't know how to feel about this one because I like a lot of the visual identity going on here. It's very Japanese inspired. Obviously, they have the yokai, the language going on looks interesting. There's some cool stuff, even like skating up the side of buildings. I just wish we saw more like contextual gameplay. Like, what are you doing? We saw a lot of like cuts of them fighting monsters and traversal, but like, what is the game? It seems to be a 3-player co-op game or single player, but I need more information.
Yeah, I'm on board in terms of the aesthetic and the style. I think that trailer, whilst it doesn't necessarily scream a game that I would be super interested in terms of its genre, and obviously like this sort of 3-player co-op aspect, the presentation was, I think, pretty strong. And she is, as she showed in the little stinger at the end of the trailer, very eccentric and quirky, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that scores a lot of points with me as well. She's a very passionate developer. But yeah, I think I also need to see exactly what the loop is, because it seems almost like Monster Hunter-esque in a way, of where you're hunting these things using
Mm,
resources to then power up to take on bigger things,
I
which
could see that. Not my
could be
favorite loop,
cool,
to be
but
honest.
yeah. So, jury's out on this one.
Yeah. Next up, we got Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. We got a new trailer. Obviously, this was announced last year at the Game Awards. We also got confirmation it is delayed to February 12th, 2027. Um, I'm not a Tomb Raider guy personally.
Mm.
I know Kyle likes the Tomb Raider series. Very obviously, Uncharted is inspired by Tomb Raider. I don't know your history with the Tomb Raider series. I thought the trailer looked pretty good overall. Like Lara Croft looks, I always do that. Looks really good. Yeah, it looks, I have no complaints. It's not one for me, but I can't deny that there's seemingly quality on display here.
Yeah, I'll be on board for this. I dabble in Tomb Raider. I played the originals back in the day. I've played through the entire reboot, remake trilogy, whatever it is, and love 2.5 of those games.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, as a remake of the first game, I think it's looking actually surprisingly strong. Bummer that it got delayed to next year, but also makes sense. And thank God for my fantasy critic.
Yeah. How do you, obviously some people are going to get annoyed about this, but how do you feel about them coming out saying they used Gen AI for they said they used it for the conceptualizing of the game. They said everything in the game has been replaced with like human made stuff. So kind of what I think Expedition 33 said they did, and I should assume other games are also doing, although whether they're being honest about it or not. I'm still trying to find like what's my line with this, because there's another game coming up that has more Gen AI stuff in it, and I'm very much like, I think at the end of the day, like, we don't control this, what developers are doing. I think my line will be like, what's in the game should be human made. I still think it's ridiculous that they need to use Gen. It's a remake, especially like how creatively bankrupt are you? You can't remake a game. It's already it's there for you.
Yeah.
But we have to draw a line somewhere in saying that like we're never going to play any game that uses any form of AI. Like I'm going to try. I'm going to do my best. But like eventually we're going to get got, I think. So again, this isn't for me, so I don't have to worry about it yet. But
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I think that and this isn't an endorsement, what I'm about to say, but like the AI in game dev seems to be an inevitability to some extent. So I'm not going to get too up in arms currently. But I think that, like you, the line for me is if Gen AI or really sort of just AI assets in general do make it into the final build. And I will caveat, like, in a noticeable way, if it is like very, very, very minor things, like let's say the poster in Expedition 33, let's say that wasn't patched out. I
Hmm.
don't think I would have an issue. I wouldn't suddenly never want to play anything they make again. But if
Yeah.
it was like the entire of Lumiere, or this mini zone that you're exploring, we use
Hmm.
Gen AI for, that's where I start having issues, because that's actually tangible content that I'm interacting with, and that's where I get uncomfortable. So
Yeah, it's a weird one that it's I go online and I see, like, obviously there's two sides. Everyone is either pro or anti, it seems, at least online, because there's no nuance in the conversations in these spaces. But it is something like I kind of get I'm like, I'm sick of talking about this. But then also, like, I just feel the way I feel. So it is
yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
We'll have to make decisions. You can do whatever you want, people. No one's telling you otherwise. Next up, we got the Lost Wild reveal from Annapurna, and I forget the developer behind this. I thought this was Jurassic Park Survive initially, because this is essentially Jurassic Park Survive. I mean, it looks like a survival horror game where you have to hide from dinosaurs. I'm not interested. It is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. I just think this looks so derivative of the IP that I can't. Why would I play this over Jurassic Park?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I am on board currently. Time will tell. I think I need to see more of exactly what Jurassic Park Survive actually looks like in its gameplay, because depending on how hard they lean into the sort of horror, running away, fight to survive kind of elements, that will dictate which of these I prefer more. But I will say that everything I'm seeing seems quite promising. Going a bit of a deep cut, I suppose. But back when we were doing No Limits, we were talking at one point or another about like what our game pitches would be for things that we'd want to make. And the thing that I said was essentially an Alien Isolation type game, but you're dealing with a kaiju instead of an alien. So you're
Like
exploring like a
Evolve.
yeah, so you're exploring like a city environment, and you just have an AI kaiju giant creature that is, natively roaming around and doing things, and you have to gather resources and survive, and you can't fight back in any way. It's just sort of this unstoppable force of nature that you have to navigate around, and it's dynamically changing the environment. Obviously, not quite to that extent with this, but it is sort of scratching a little bit of that itch with the sort of giant pterodactyl things. And
Hmm.
you imagine T-Rexes are going to be here as well. So I'm very interested.
You know what? Your pitch sounds like Cloverfield, by the way.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But also, you know how I said last week I don't find aliens scary, like the movies. I
Sure.
also don't think dinosaurs are scary. Like
Mm.
I've never watched Jurassic Park and thought this had like horror elements to it. I just, like, dinosaurs aren't scary to me.
No, I mean, certainly not how they've been presented in media. I think like actual dinosaurs, if they were depicted authentically,
If I see a T-Rex
like
outside my window,
terrifying.
I probably would be. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah,
Like I don't know whether you've seen, but like there's videos and audio files online of like what a T-Rex would actually sound like. That stuff is like hauntingly
yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah, Sometimes I've been there a few times, but in New York City we have like the Natural History Museum or whatever, and they have a whole section of like dinosaurs, and some of that, like you see the skeleton just put together. Like there's one that's so big, I forget what the dinosaur is, but it doesn't even fit. It's like a giant auditorium, and it goes through the like down into another room, and I'm like, crazy, ridiculous that these creatures existed. So in real life, yes, but like when I'm watching a dinosaur, I'm like,
yeah. So I do hope that this game does really go for it in terms of not like jump scare spooks, but like atmospheric. You can hear something, but you can't see it. Kind of spooks.
Yes. You know what I just realized? You're wearing blue and I'm wearing green. PlayStation, Xbox, repping. Yeah. Let's go. We didn't plan that, everyone. Next, we got a Phantom Blade Zero trailer. Basically just saying, hey, deep dive.
He's gone.
I just kicked us out of the room. I thought it was a little weird that we didn't get this during the state of play, but they said that the game has been delayed until October 29th. So it's about a month and a half delay. I'm fine with that. I think that's actually a better spot for it compared to what we have, like the onslaught of September games. But just weird they didn't say that during the state of play.
Yeah. It also means, that Gears of War E-Day is going to have a bit of competition now. You know what I'm saying?
They're 4 weeks apart. They're 4 weeks apart.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, to be honest, because it obviously the game looks great and I'll be playing it, but I don't really like it when there's just these repeat appearances of things.
Yeah, I'm sick of seeing it.
Where we don't get any new information. It's just, and especially like this, it didn't take up much time in the showcase, to be fair, but like just doing this to announce another thing that we have to watch it coming at another time. I'm not a big fan of that. I'd much rather it have just been a PlayStation blog post saying we're delaying it and you'll have a deep dive coming later this summer. I think that would have been the right call.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen too much of this game, and we're going to talk about that maybe a few other times. That I think we're just seeing games too much, too often. Yeah, I'm already. I already want to play the game as long as it's. I mean, as long as reviews aren't like, hey, it's a 5 out of 10, like broken. So
sure.
Dune Awakening is coming to PS5 this fall. Cool, great. That's genuinely my like level of excitement and analysis. I thought the game looked horrible. Like people apparently like it, but I was looking at those animations. I was like, could they make a game that wasn't from 2002? Like, I just don't think it looks very good personally.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you in the show during the show that like I would be down for a proper Dune game, but this ain't it.
Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered is coming October 1st this year. So if you're into Dynasty Warriors, go for it. I only like Muso games when they take IPs I like and then shove them into that formula. I'm
going to be playing that chicken game though.
Oh yeah. No. I'm here for the giant chicken game. You and me both. Yeah. Onimusha, Way of the Sword, got a release date, September 25th, 2026, along with a new trailer. I continue to think this game looks pretty good. I've never played an Onimusha, so I have no idea. Like, they say it isn't a Souls-like. If it's more action oriented, that's fine with me. It's not a day one just because there's so much around that time period for certain. But maybe it's something I'll look down like on a deep discount. But I think the game still looks good, and Capcom continues to kill it. So September.
Yeah, I'll be looking for. I do have the demo downloaded.
Right, there's a demo,
but I haven't jumped into that yet. So
I would love to hear that. Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts about that, how the game feels to play.
Sure.
Silent Hill Townfall got a new trailer and a release date. This is coming September 24th, 2026, the day before. I do hear if you pre-order it, you get 2-day early access, so it can come to you September 22nd, give you some time between between that and Onimusha. I believe that was Silent Hill Townfall, if I remember correctly. I might be misremembering, but I didn't care for Silent Hill 2 remake, and I know that is a crazy thing to say for most people, but it just wasn't my type of horror game. And I never played Silent Hill F, so I can't really I can't speak to any other Silent Hills. But this one looks good, like fidelity wise, story wise. I'm sure it looks to be another good Silent, like mid 80s, right? If we had to put like a score.
This one's going straight to the top, 97, baby. That's
that
what
would be
I'm betting on.
one of the best games ever.
No, I think you're right. I think it's going to be in that ballpark, unless they really screw something up. But they seem to know what they're doing as of right now with Silent Hill, which is great. I haven't played F yet, but obviously I was a big fan of 2. I think that the only thing maybe, as I said, going against this game is that it's first person, but even if that means that it scores slightly lower, I appreciate that they aren't just doing the same thing over and over again. And they're taking swings and going to new settings, new characters, that kind of stuff.
Maybe for me, from my perspective, as someone that doesn't dabble in Silent Hill or even Resident Evil, right? I feel like they're taking the Resident Evil playbook and kind of adopting it for this franchise, right? Like we have a remake of a beloved entry. We have a new entry, third person. We have a new entry, first person. Like they're taking the Resident Evil playbook and kind of applying it, and they're having success with it. So
yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Ace Combat 8 is coming October 2nd. New trailer for that. You also get a port of, I think, Ace Combat 0, if I remember. It's Balkan, whichever one that is. If you pre-order, it will not be available separately or after launch, so you have to pre-order if you're interested in getting that. I'm not an Ace Combat guy. I hear this is anime Top Gun, but just not for me.
Yeah, it's one of those that I sort of not necessarily admire from afar, but I can see everybody consistently saying that each new release is great, but it's just not anything I'm ever going to be interested in.
Yeah, I've tried. It's those. What do you call them? Like where you're just flying, right? I think Star Fox is really the only one that's like captured me in terms of that. And even then, like I actually kind of like when Star Fox gets out of the R-Wing. But I think of something like Chorus. I don't know if you played Chorus.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was okay. I think just something about flying constantly. I get a little bored with it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Next up was probably a big surprise, actually. Stuntman Hollywood got a reveal. I think it's been like 19 years since the last Stuntman game. So this is a new one set in, I think it's Universal Pictures movies. So you saw things like Death Race, Back to the Future was in there. There's going to be a whole list of IP properties. And of course, we got copyrighted for this part of the show. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Stuntman fans. No date on it, but it's cool to see a revival of a franchise that I assume most people thought were dead.
Yeah, and it's just a really cool concept in and of itself. It seems like a no-brainer now that it exists, but yeah, to really lean into licensed IP is smart.
Next up, we got a new trailer for Ill. This is coming from Munfish, and I forget the other the other team working on this. I gotta say, this might be up there for the most like high fidelity thing we saw at any showcase. Just absolutely visceral, bloody, gory, some body horror going on, like horrible to look at, but in like a good way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still have reservations about it. You know, it feels like it's one of those things that presents very well, but could end up being pretty atrocious as a game. But if it isn't atrocious and it's good, I think this could be something pretty big.
Yeah, I think it's like Atomic Heart showed really well, right? Their previous game from a trailer standpoint, but it came out and it was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
So next up, big one for you and me. Remedy showed up with Control Resonant. got a new trailer, and we got a release date is coming September 24th, 2026, along with the other batch of September games we were talking about. You can pre-order it right now. There is 2-day early access if you get the digital deluxe edition that is exclusive to the PlayStation 5 version, which I think is absolute nonsense because I'm playing it on Steam, and I think that's some BS, to be honest with you. We saw Control Resident again during Summer Game Fest, and I'm going to be honest with you. I watched the trailers, but I didn't pay attention to anything that was going because I was like, I'm going to tune it out. I don't want to know. I don't want to see. I want to go into this game as blind as possible. So I've erased that from my memory.
Okay. Yeah. I strangely have a weak memory of that trailer too, but I won't say anything. I do remember some things from it, and it just continues to look great. Obviously, we were going to be on board day one regardless. The exclusivity for the early access is interesting. I mean, you know, we would both be a little bit compromised, I guess, in this scenario because of how biased we are towards Remedy. If that's something they had to do to make sure this game got across the finish line, not that it is, but if it was theoretically, then fine, but it's still a bit scummy. I hope it isn't a trend that we see more of, where there is platform exclusive early access for multi-platform titles. But then, you know, unfortunately, I do think that might be the caveat in this sort of resurgence of console wars, if you want to put it that way, and locking down ecosystems. I think that they might be looking to do more of these deals.
Yeah, it's a way that if we're not going to have third-party exclusives, right, as more third-party publishers or like Square Enix, right? Yeah, trying to like, hey, we'll give you this instead of a full exclusive deal, because then we get the benefits of both worlds. We get more money from your platform, which PlayStation is the dominant platform, obviously. So I imagine Control sold best on PlayStation, maybe PC, but I honestly, I can't imagine it wouldn't be PlayStation in terms of console sales. So I get it. It sucks as someone that isn't playing it on even though I played Ultimate Edition on PlayStation 5 because I got it through PS Plus, but I have it on PC because they've given that game away 1,000 times to this point. But yeah, I continue to be excited. I already have it. I pre-ordered it. I'm good. I'm ready to lock in. I imagine we will do a spoiler cast on it since we did one for Alan. Like, yeah, if it's a Remedy game, there's a few things out there that Sam and I will sit down and dive deep into. So stay tuned for that. Marathon Season 2 got a trailer. Don't care. Cool. Yeah, it's available now, everyone. Guitaru Man is coming to PS Plus in June 2026. This is a old school PS1 game, PS2 game, something like that. Also, Psyops, The Mindgate Conspiracy, another classic title that is coming. I don't think they put a date on that, but it is coming to PS Plus soon. And Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, one of the older Onimusha games, is also coming.
Yeah, I mean, they're good picks. They are all good games. It's just it continues to infuriate me that Premium is now doing one classic a month. It's kind of crazy.
You know they're going to spread those out like June, July, August.
Yeah, that's exactly why they didn't put dates on it. They're just like, these are other Premium games. They're coming some point this year.
Yeah, so, and I'm going to check the blog post hoping that like, I'm going to scroll. Oh, nope, just that one. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So, Guitaru Man might be first up, and then Psyops is August's game, and then Onimusha is September's, maybe, to coincide with Way of the Sword. Something like
that, yeah. Next two are both from first party and probably the biggest reveals of the entire showcase, for me anyway. Until Dawn 2 got a reveal trailer. It is coming 2027. This is from Firesprite. So obviously Until Dawn originally was from Supermassive. They're off making the Dark Pictures games. I think they've kind of had a falling out with PlayStation, as seemingly. And then you had Ballistic Moon make the Until Dawn remake, which came out and was critically and commercially panned, I believe. And now we get Until Dawn 2, which looks... How do I say this nicely? I'm gonna say interesting. It looks interesting. I mean, I'm here for it. Don't get me wrong. I love these style of games. I love all the Dark Pictures games. I love Until Dawn. I don't understand why so far. I don't understand why this is called Until Dawn 2, because apart from the one character snippet for the doctor at the end, right? I need to know how this connects to the original. Obviously, the Until Dawn remake had that extra scene that set up a sequel. So I really hope that like Hayden Panettiere and other characters that may or may not be around at the end of Until Dawn remake play some role in this. But so far, it does look like teenagers go to a tropical island and then a guy with a machete starts killing them. So it's got horror movie tropes. I'm here for it. I'm going to play it for sure. I just want to know how it connects to Until Dawn.
Yeah, I will almost certainly be playing it as well. I'm not 100% sold yet. I would wager, as we said, that I think it will connect in, and I would be amazed if Sam doesn't show up as a character, considering what remake teased at the end. I also think that there is a chance that, I guess, like the other thing that we're going to talk about in a second, they are primarily using the name as a franchise under which they can just explore other things. Because up until now, Until Dawn has meant something very specific. But then the movie came out, and not that I like that at all, but that was very different to the game. So I wonder whether they are trying to, in some way, turn Until Dawn into something that's bigger than the first game and more of just like an anthology series that's under the same name for brand recognition. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly an option, I guess. That does lean more into the Dark Pictures-esque, where like
Exactly.
what is it? Dr. Hill, is that his name?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. If he's their curator, let's say, you know how the Dark Pictures games have the curator. If that's his role, it does feel a little weird, like kind of just copying Supermassive's homework at that point. Where for me, I think Until Dawn really should be a connected franchise or of some sort, instead of a anthology series. But I remain open-minded and I'm excited. I do think the character models look a little weird, personally.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. They got some notable people in here. Billy from Stranger Things is in here, and then one of the girl that has like the short shorts and like a tank top on. It looks familiar, and so does the redhead in the trailer. I don't know that I couldn't find actor or actresses listed for this game yet, but they look familiar.
Yeah, they've got Neil Newbern as well, haven't they? As one of the characters. So. I'll be interested to see if that is essentially the full primary cast, or if there are any characters or actors that haven't been shown yet. Not that it really matters as long as the story's good, but I wonder if they have reserved something, whether it is going to be the next time we see it, we do see a hint of Sam or someone.
I imagine this comes out next fall. Like, I think that's probably the target, right?
I mean, I think I might lean more towards summer, just based on the, but then the vibe is a very tropical-y island.
True.
And I'm working probably under the assumption that Intergalactic is the full game. So who knows though? Things could move around very easily. Obviously, around Halloween, that would make sense for a horror game, but who knows?
All right. Finally, the closer for the state of play was a 20-minute gameplay trailer for God of War Laufey. I've heard. It makes more sense to me to say Laufey because her name is Faye. But we got a deep dive into this. We get from the start screen, the opening 20 minutes to cinematics. They said gameplay. In terms of actual gameplay, there's like, I don't know, a handful of minutes in here showing off the new combat, which I think looks fun, more aerial than something like Kratos has going on. Obviously, you play as Kratos' deceased wife in this. The backlash, I think, online is absolutely stupid and nonsense, and I don't want to get into it. But
predictable, though.
Certainly predictable. What's it? Deborah Ann Wolf is the is the actress. I'm here for it. I think my only reservation is Jack Quaid plays that cube Frank, and I just find it so funny that he's like sliding around the back. It's not like a deal breaker for me. I just think it looks ridiculous, but I love God of War, and especially as you know, I 2018 is I think a masterpiece. I liked Ragnarok, and then I went back and played the originals as we've talked about just this year. So I'm here for more God of War.
Yeah, I think honestly, this is probably the best thing I've seen of all of the shows personally.
Interesting.
I know that's inherently contentious because I think all of the shows had great stuff in them. But as someone who is a very, very, very big fan of God of War, and also the amount of just theory crafting and deep diving I've done, what this opens up in terms of potential for the series, not just this game and what could be in this game, but beyond, and the way that Santa Monica are talking about it, I think that I don't know that I've ever been as excited for the future of God of War as I am now.
Wow.
I agree generally that the presentation dragged a little bit.
It's just too long. You could have put any game there, and I would say 20 minutes is far too long. Like you lose me. I'd rather be the one playing it. Like you're taking away that experience from me as how I view it. But I get it works for some people, doesn't work for others.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like they're emulating what they did with 2018, where the first time we saw 2018, it was a lengthy gameplay demo. I don't know if it was 20 minutes, but it was relatively long. And I get the reasons why you want to start off with Faye being burned, so you set the context, and then you want an introduction to the world and a tease of the sort of gods and mythologies, and then a bit of fighting. Like, I get it. The difficult thing is that I don't know if that the way that they chose to present this inherently will have won over people who weren't already in on God of War.
Yeah, no, I don't see this as a jumping in point for people into the franchise. This very much feels like you need context for at least 2018, and I assume Ragnarok, because they said this is the next, main. It's not a spin-off game. This is the next main chapter. I would ultimately expect this to set up whatever Kratos' next journey is in the franchise, because for the simple premise, this isn't spoilers, this is everything in the show. Like Faye dies, and then she goes to the god afterlife, right? And then she's being accosted by other dead gods there. So yeah, I know we've talked about this, but it does open up the possibility of like, do we see Odin? Do we see Zeus and all these other Helios? I think it would be I'm just trying to think of all the ones.
A headless body walking around.
Yeah, just trying to think of all the ones I massacred recently this year when I was playing God of War 1 through 3. Right. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities that can lead to a bit fan service and maybe like a generic revenge thing if they try to all like, oh, we're going to take revenge on Kratos by like killing his wife even though she's already dead. Like, it's very weird. So they have some things they need to address, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and I have faith. Even with like Frank the Cube, like as ludicrous as it is to see, all the interviews that have come out, it's been noted that Frank was an addition made specifically by Corey. So I think he is kind of a bit of a shock to the system by design, but I imagine that it will have relatively significant narrative ramifications.
He's on the cover art, so
exactly.
You don't get Jack Quaid to voice a cube if he's not important.
Yeah, I would imagine he probably doesn't stay a cube. That would be my assumption.
I thought the same. Honestly, I don't know. I thought they were maybe trying to pull what they did with Donkey Kong Bonanza, where they were like, "Hey, Donkey Kong has a rock companion," but then it turned out to be Pauline.
Yeah, like there's very clearly a spirit or something in the center of that cube. So whether they find a new vessel to house the cube and it changes form, or whether they break it out and it is revealed to be a significant character, I don't know. But I have faith. I think that, I don't think that they would go this bold with deviating from Kratos if they didn't know that they had a story that was worth telling. And the gameplay does look compelling, even though I would have loved to have seen more of it.
It wasn't as different as I expected. Like the way the rumors made it sound like I was expecting Devil May Cry, and I'm like, it is more action focused, like aerial combat, but it isn't that big of a deviation from what we had before.
Yeah, I think maybe what I was expecting was camera pulled back slightly more.
Yes, yeah.
And maybe even bringing back like the combo meter. But I appreciate that it isn't like straight up a carbon copy of Ragnarok, because then I think that my issues with it would be a bit more pronounced. But if this is the combat stuff that they're willing to show us in its very first unveiling, I imagine that they also, like they did with 2018, not showing the blades, they probably have a fair amount of stuff that they're going to hide from us.
Yeah, so I think the rumors, we expect that next year, even though it wasn't dated. But yeah, that is it for the state of play. I know I didn't ask you at the beginning, but we just went through it. What did you think overall? I thought it was a good, not great showcase for me personally, and I think that just comes from maybe the expectations I had, because they hyped it up so much, because it was an Alamo Draft House, it's because they gave 2-week notice. Like, maybe I set myself up for disappointment, but there still was a lot here for me.
Yeah, I probably would lean towards great. I don't know that it was the best state of play. I think that arguably the one earlier this year has been the best state of play. But I think I frankly, I do think that this one did come quite close. I would wager that the build up to it did damage it slightly in terms of expectation building. But if we view it sort of like holistically and objectively, we got a lot of dates for big games. They're all on top of each other, but that's neither here nor there. We got more first party reveals in a state of play than we've ever had. We had Marathon as first party, if you want to count Bungie, Wolverine, Until Dawn, and Faye. That's pretty big for one state of play, considering what we've gotten prior. And also, there wasn't any other sort of live service slop outside of the little brief Marathon trailer. So, I think that people want less live service and more first party, and we got those things from PlayStation. I think if they had maybe one other thing, it would have cemented it as like an S tier show for me. But I would say like A, around that range.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep it rolling, because we have 2 more to talk about. Let's go to Summer Games Fest. This was a 2-hour show where we didn't live react to this one, because I was like, hey, Summer Games Fest always sucks. It's always boring. It's always 2 hours of garbage. And then Jeff was like, well, not this year. Yeah, not this year. It isn't. So, we kicked off the show with Resident Evil Veronica, a remake of Code Veronica, coming 2027. I'm not a Resident Evil guy. I think this. Am I the only one? I kind of knew this was Resident Evil when the trailer started. I was like, this looks like the RE engine. Like, you can tell, like, it has a look to it, right? I didn't know if it was like DLC though. I was like, is this a Requiem DLC that's been rumored? But then obviously, you see Claire. So very exciting for Resident Evil fans.
Yeah, I will be fully on board. I never finished Code Veronica. So I think I did contemplate going back to it and finishing it up ahead of this. But now that it's been announced, I think I will just wait and go in with a fresh pair of eyes. It's obviously a very beloved one, even though it's niche or nicher than other titles, I should say. It looks great. I will be interested to see, because I've seen conflicting reports on what style this is going to be, because I've seen some reports say that there are like at least first person elements. So I don't quite know how I feel about that. But
I wonder if
I'm
they
on
give
board
you
with
the option. Yeah.
yeah, like Requiem, you could switch
Hmm.
between. So I imagine that might just be a staple for Resident Evil going forwards, which I'm not against. But if that is the case, then I will choose third person.
Awesome. Awesome. Next up, we got, what is it? Studio MPD, MDP, or something like it.
MDHR.
MDHR, thank you, came and they said a new Cuphead game is in development. And then you thought the trailer was going to end, but nope. They've also been working on another project that is coming soon to consoles and PC, and they're even making it for 8-bit consoles. It's called Mighty Cuphead Adventures. It's a NES style 2D action platformer. You can play a little cute little Cuphead guy. I'm not a Cuphead fan, but I was like, it's a very cool announcement. I like the way they did it, like the trailer, and I think the game looks really neat.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that it looks great. I love the aesthetic and the sort of tone that they go for. But Cuphead, I've tried it multiple times, and it's not for me. I got kind of excited because I heard in many like predictions that people were saying like, "Oh, is MDHR going to show up with something? And are they going to show up with something different?" And the fact that it is all still just Cuphead, like both projects are
They're leaning
Cuphead,
into it.
a bit of a bummer for me because I would have been super down with something completely new, not only IP wise but genre. And it seems like that's not going to be the case for the foreseeable future. So
I think it's interesting because you look at somebody like Yacht Club, right, where Shovel Knight was such a massive success for them, and instead of leaning into Shovel Knight, they were like, well, we'll give them a bunch of weird spin-off games that aren't really Shovel Knight, and now we're going to do Mina the Hollower, which nothing to take away from those games, but where would they be if they did double, triple down on here's Shovel Knight 2, here's Shovel Knight 3D, which I know they're working on, but I think Cuphead, the developers over there are seemingly saying, hey, Cuphead is our franchise, that are our Mario, so we're going to lean into them, which you don't see a lot these days.
yeah, and you know, I can't criticize them. It's a safe bet, but because it's safe, I think it's inherently less interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, next, Sega showed up with Alien Isolation 2. This was announced a few weeks ago. We got a proper trailer for it. I didn't see any release date as far as I remember on
I
this
think so
one.
now.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not an Alien Isolation guy, but I think it looked visually stunning. And there's been some revisionist history around this game. You know, people are kind of a cult classic now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully on board. I was late to Alien Isolation, but I adore that game. So yeah, I hope it isn't that far away. But the lack of any sort of concrete details does spook me a little bit. But the fact that they're doing it makes me pretty confident that the fact they're doing it in the first place makes me confident that it is going to sort of happen and probably come sooner than I'm anticipating. So
I was thinking 2028 personally, but
yeah, holding out for like late next year at the earliest. But I'm on board. So
next up, we got a trailer. Project Robot showed up, but is now called
yes.
Gen Atlas. I forget what's the developer's name? You probably know.
What the main dev?
Yeah, the guy that
for me too, Ueda.
Yeah, Ueda. Yeah, yes, that's what it is. He did Shadow of the Colossus and stuff for Eco. That's his whole jam.
Yep.
Yeah. So he came. I get. Listen, not for me, but I understand how. I haven't played Shadow of the Colossus. I haven't tried it, but like every time I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really look like a game I would enjoy. I understand how big of an announcement this is, right? Like, I think all four of these like first announcements really were like Jeff was bringing it, and this was such a huge moment, I think, for a lot of people. Again, I don't remember really. I didn't write down a release date, but it's good to know this game is progressing in development.
Yeah, frankly, I think this might rival for game of the show. It's certainly one of my highest announcements out of all of the shows.
Okay.
I will be interested to see exactly what form the gameplay loop takes. It's going to be weird because that's what he always does.
Mm-hmm.
But the concept of a Ueda mech game is one of the most exciting prospects. I'm not going to say ever because that is a bit hyperbolic, but the potential that has if he can execute, which I have faith that he will, because I wasn't a massive fan of Last Guardian, but I still think it's an incredibly impressive game. But everything else before that, I'm absolutely in love with. And this seems to be going more in that direction than Last Guardian direction. So fingers crossed.
Awesome. Well, the next one is for me. We got a new trailer for Blood Message, which David Burdett put me onto this game. He's dropped a trailer. I guess we had seen it before, but this trailer really sold me. Got to be honest. Like samurai. I mean, it has a samurai aesthetic, right? But like, it looks very, very. I want to say Naughty Dog-esque, like cinematic action. Like, I don't know. This game really looked impressive to me. I was totally on board. I don't know if it's a day one whenever it does release, but I was impressed from the fidelity. The storytelling really was gripping, and just the combat looked awesome. Especially like some of you're riding on horses, shooting bows. So I'm like, yeah, I'm in for this.
Yeah, I like the fact that it seems to be more of like a linear experience. I think that is something that we are missing a lot of nowadays. As long as like the gameplay is super solid, which it appears to be pretty impressive, I will need to likely see sort of hands-on impressions to know for sure. But yeah, I think it presents incredibly well. It's another one of those things where it's just sort of East Asian devs coming out of nowhere and showing up the rest of the industry in various ways. So one to keep my eye on. I'm not 100% in yet, but I think everything I'm seeing, I'm currently loving. So
I will say it's weird. I've tried to look it up on Steam. You can't wishlist this game yet, so I don't know if that's like it's like for really far out, but like just seemed weird.
Interesting.
Next up, Stranger Than Heaven got another trailer revealing Tupac was in the game, and it is coming January 15th, 2027. Because screw me for my fantasy critic. I don't personally have any attachment to Tupac, right? Like I'm not a rap fan. There's apparently some controversy over his inclusion. His estate signed off on it. Obviously, he is dead. But yeah, shockers. So January 15th. They said this winter. I'm not ultimately surprised. Good kicking off the year with it. I'm excited just because it is RGG. It looks very Yakuza coded with some new flair and style to it. So I'll be here for it.
Yeah, obviously not for me, but yeah, I think that the not. I don't want to go into it, but that Tupac thing is weird. Like the more I read about it, because his estate signed off on it, but his estate is not actually his family. It's like a lawyer that owns the distribution rights to him and his likeness, and he's not in touch with the family, and a bit messy there. Hopefully they can kind of navigate that and maybe even resolve it somewhat. Obviously they're not going to remove him from the game, I don't think, but like find a way to make peace with all sides of the equation here, because I think that outside of that, the game looks very promising, even though it's not for me.
Snoop Dogg's in the game too.
But
next up, we got Hex. I don't know how to say this one.
I think it's just Hex,
but they put an A in it.
Yeah,
be weird. Coming to PC in 2027. This looked to be some sort of cooperative. I don't know how you would describe it. They were like going up to monoliths and like solving puzzles and doing weird stuff. I'm not sure what was going on in this one. Didn't really capture me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to be playing it, but I think that, as I said in the reaction, not the reaction, but in the Discord, that it looked cool. Like I like the concept of it, of using these cubes that you can place down into the environment and sort of dynamically change it. That is a cool concept. The kind of cooperative, not looter shooter, but shooter survival crafting, it's like, no.
Dead by Daylight has a 10th anniversary trailer for it's coming June 14th. It kind of gave me Strangers vibes. I don't know if that's a thing, but happy for Dead by Daylight. Mortal Shell 2 open beta announcement. You can play that now. Sand Raiders of Sophie trailer. The game is coming June 10th. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember what this was. I can't
I'm
even
going to
speak
have to
it.
look it up.
This was during that. This is that little I want to say ad block segment. They had a few of those throughout the show.
Oh no, I do remember.
Yeah, I don't remember this at all. So didn't stick with me.
It's the I don't know whether it's a survival game, but it's the one where you're like building your own walking mechs out in the desert.
Oh, okay.
And it's like it's a mobile base game, and you're. I think I said it was kind of like Mech Sea of Thieves.
Right.
So I mean, it again, it looked cool. I think that the fact that I couldn't recall it without looking it up means that the name is atrocious. But
it certainly is.
I could be on board, frankly. Like speaking of not being into multiplayer games, I think that the Sea of Thieves loop is better than a number of other games of its ilk. So maybe I like mechs.
Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resync got a new trailer coming July 9th. We've known about that for a while.
Hell yeah.
Again, not one I'm particularly interested in, but I'm excited for Assassin's Creed fans.
I will be there.
This next one, I think, is a pretty big announcement, and that is Platinum is making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. So this game has kind of been in development hell for quite some time. It was originally with the Destroy All Humans team over, I think, at Embracer, right? And then they've seemingly handed it off to Platinum. So Paramount Game Studios, their new publishing arm, is working with Platinum to make this. We didn't see an actual gameplay. I imagine they basically had to restart development on this game, but I'm here for a good action TMNT game.
Yeah, I'm fully on board. I do expect that this is probably still many years away. It felt like one of those things where like we are announcing we're doing it, production has barely, if at all, started. So hopefully, not to be pessimistic, I hope this one does come to fruition, because it does seem, especially after like Ninja Gaiden, that Platinum would be the perfect choice for it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Ben Starr showed up to spotlight Fortnite Chapter 7 Season 3 for the Visitor. Happy for you.
Get it out of here.
Gundam Rogue Orbit got a reveal trailer. It's coming 2027. This looked to be a pretty high quality Gundam game. I know there's some people in our Discord that like Gundam. Not an IP for me, but I thought the trailer actually showed quite well.
Yeah, same. Especially as someone who famously adores Armored Core from Armored Core 6. Like, this has piqued my interest more than it otherwise would.
Yeah. An extremely hard game coming July 24th, 2026. This is a co-op game where you play as two geese trying to move along obstacles while they have an egg in between them. Looked silly, looked fun. Probably not something I will play, but I'm always happy to see things like this get spotlighted.
Yeah, agreed.
Crossfire got a reveal trailer. This is an interesting one. Do you remember the developer behind this?
It's That's No Moon.
That's not yes, which is a studio that was founded a few years ago at this point, right? I'm surprised they're doing Crossfire.
Yep.
I'm watching it. I'm like, oh man, this is giving me like, I thought it was co-op at first because there's two characters, right? Like military. And I was like, oh, it's giving me Army of Two vibes, which a game I know you famously love.
Of course.
Yes. So I was excited. Like the story seems really interesting. Seems like a narrative first, character driven game. And then there's some interesting things going on, certainly with the almost looks like wounds are healing, maybe some sci-fi stuff in there. Crossfire though, or like as soon as that popped up, I was like, oh man, like this is an established IP. I know mainly in the multiplayer space. Crossfire X was absolutely terrible. I know Remedy did the story for that game, and less said about that the better. But damn, I don't know how to feel. I'll keep an eye on it because I am interested. But this is either going to be really good or a flaming pile of crap.
Yeah, a bit of a bummer that it isn't just a new IP. But then, reading into it, they got their investment, their funding from the publishing arm that owns Crossfire. So I guess I like it again. It looks good. It's
It
just a
does.
bit of a bummer that it's got Crossfire attached to it. How much that materially matters at the end of the day, I guess it depends on how good the game is. But yeah, strange one.
We saw Control Resident again. We've already talked about that. Just another trailer. Remedy's really pushing this game. Go buy it.
Good.
Guild Wars 3 is coming to PlayStation 5 and PC in 2027. I got a reveal trailer for that. I believe they said that the beta testing will start next year in the fall. So this is maybe that's what they mean by 2027. But yeah, honestly, big surprise, big for the MMO community. Guild Wars. I remember back in the day watching like G4 and Guild Wars 2 being like the thing that was blowing up. And I honestly thought it had died, but apparently it hasn't.
And coming to a console for the first time as well, which is interesting.
It's interesting it's not coming to Xbox, which maybe they're banking on Helix just playing the PC version.
I mean, that's actually a really good shout. I didn't think about that, especially if you said late next year as the beta stuff. Then that might align where they're just going to say that Helix is going to have access to the PC version anyway. So what does it matter? That sets a scary precedent for me, though, that I'm not overly comfortable with. But
it would not surprise me if more and more developers started taking that approach. If they know what Helix is ahead of time, right? Like,
yeah.
Star Wars Galactic Racer got a new trailer. It's coming October 6th. I'm not interested in this one personally. There's a lot of Star Wars games coming this year, but yeah, not for me.
Still looks great though.
It does. Visually, it looks very good. End of Abyss is coming October 1st. Another one that I honestly have no idea what this is. I cannot remember the trailer.
I think this is the sort of slightly top-down shooter where you've almost got like a diving helmet on.
Yes, it's Resident Evil style horror Metroid-like exploration, apparently.
Yeah. It's fine, Yeah. It was fine.
Lost Harbor got a trailer. No release date for that. This is another ad break that really just. I get why Jeff does it, but some of these trailers do not stick with you.
Yeah, I there was a bit of confusion because I think a lot of people were thinking, I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but when this trailer popped up, there were people thinking it was something else, or like associated to a. That's going to annoy me. I'm going to look it up while we go through the rest of the stuff. But I like the premise again, like the idea of like spooky fishing. That's kind of sick to me. But then it started going into like, actually, no, you're on land and you're using guns, and that's where it kind of lost me.
Okay. RGG showed back up with the Virtua Fighter Crossroads coming 2027. We didn't see any gameplay. This was a very story-based trailer, kind of being like, "Hey, you're an underground fighter. You piss off the mafia." So it seems like they were trying. Sega's really trying to make Virtua Fighter more relevant in the gaming space again.
Yeah, and they did do. I think they did do a dedicated showcase later that day. Yeah, obviously not for me by any means, but I think as well it's interesting with this story content that they are in many ways trying to specifically ape Street Fighter, because it looked from the trailer that was like maybe a little bit of exploration-y.
Yes, that's what I got the I know Street Fighter 6 implemented that, like you roam around and like beat up random, like they have that little open world segment, right? I did very much get that vibe as well.
Yeah.
RuneScape Dragon Wilds is coming to console September 15th. Which it's also going to be on PS Plus. I didn't mention that in the state of play segment because we're talking about it here. I have a friend who loves RuneScape. He plays it for like hours a day. I'm not even kidding. It's just constantly. He always has it on his PC, and he'll just be like farming. Like he'll just click it, and then it's like an auto clicker at that point. he's like, guys, it's mandatory that we all play this together because it's like 6-player co-op. And I was like, this game looks like ass. It looks so bad, but I will try it to be a good friend. The fact they put it September 15th, though, what do you do? I'm not dropping Wolverine Trails Control to play Dragon Wilds.
Yeah. The irony is that, coming out the same day as Wolverine, though, this game is probably going to end up having like 15 million players or something stupid. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like it's one of those games where even if it is atrocious, it's just going to have a massive player base. Either that or it is like DOA.
Well, it's on PC and I haven't heard anyone talk about it. So like,
well, that's true. Yeah, very true.
Yeah. We'll see. Next up was another ad block. Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales got a trailer to remind you that's coming out in a few weeks. Orbal's got another trailer to remind you it's coming out this summer. Soulframe, from the developers of what's that big popular Warframe,
yeah,
got a new trailer to remind you that is coming. Grounded 2 got a new trailer for the Into the Abyss expansion coming August 11th, and it is also coming to PlayStation 5 that day. And then Mafia the Old Country got Man of Honor expansion coming August 14th. Any of those you feel the need to touch on?
Nope.
All right. Kind of cool. Grounded 2 is coming to PlayStation.
Is it?
I mean, not for Xbox, I guess, but sorry, not for Xbox fanboys.
Sorry, yes.
Next up, one of my trailers of the show, I think, 1666 Amsterdam got a reveal. This is from former Assassin's Creed developers. You play as a witch in 1666 in Amsterdam. It's entering early access, which I think put a little damper on the announcement for me. This is one I'm interested to check out when it's fully released, like 1.0 content complete, right? You kind of play the prologue right now, but visually looks really good. They showed some cool combat sequences, showed you flying across water on a broomstick. Like, I'm really intrigued just because I love witches and vampires and all that supernatural stuff. So
yeah, the same for me. I'll be waiting for it fully coming out because I'm scared that, not that it presented rough at all, but I think that when it was announced as early access, that sort of recontextualized my viewing of the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily in an overly negative way, but a slightly more critical way, because it was a very exciting announcement otherwise. So fingers crossed that when it comes out, it is really solid and reviews well, because I'll be all over it.
Next up, Saw Genesis got a trailer. It's coming from Bloober Team. Bloober Team showed up at quite a few showcases. I know they announced Chronos Lazarus at, I think, the IGN thing or one of those other smaller showcases. So this is a 3v1 asymmetrical multiplayer horror game where you take on the role of it's not Jigsaw. It's set, I think they said 100 years before Jigsaw, so it's in the past, which I think is weird because Billy the Puppet was in the game, and that doesn't, what are they doing to my Saw lore? For anyone that doesn't know, I love Saw. I have watched all the Saw movies like 10 times. They're kind of my comfort movies, Sam. When I'm depressed or feeling, I will lay in bed and watch a Saw movie.
We'll dig into that some other time.
Yeah. I probably need to see someone about that, but I do love I do love just the Saw movies in general. I was really interested in this because I thought it was going to be like a narrative Saw game, and then they revealed it was no, you're just you versus some friends, which I'm not opposed to. Like I liked Friday the 13th. I had fun with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm interested in the Halloween game that is coming out this year, even though that has a single player component to it as well. So I'm not opposed to this, but it isn't like, oh my God, I need to play day one and like me and my friends are going to torture each other. Right.
Yeah, I was so excited until I realized it was a multiplayer thing. Because if it was like it's just a new version of what the old PS3 360 games were, I would have been so on board. But I'm now fully checked out, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Lords of the Fallen 2 got a trailer. Still coming this fall. It's now coming to Steam, everyone. Great. Star Wars Zero Company got, I believe it's official reveal trailer. It's coming August 27th this year. Looks pretty good. if I'm being honest. Looks like XCOM meets Star Wars, which I don't think anyone can. I mean, it's not going to be for everyone, but I think critically, I expect this game to do well, and then hopefully it finds its audience for people that like those types of games.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for this. I hope it sticks the landing, but everything I'm seeing looks fantastic, with story elements as well. So I will be there.
We got a new trailer for the blood of Dawnwalker. Stupid name. Either say blood of Dawnwalker, blood of the Dawnwalker. Like, I don't like it. New trailer coming September 3rd. This is from former Witcher developers. And I gotta say, Sam, maybe I just have been tuned out. This was the best showing I've seen of this game. This was the first time I actually saw this and I go, damn, I'm kind of interested in this game. Everything else has been shown to me before. I'm like, it looks fine, like AA, whatever, like Witcher. I love vampires though, but this trailer I think sold me the most. Not day one again, but I can see myself down the line eventually playing this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks very solid. I'm kind of getting fatigued on seeing this game. I feel
Again, maybe I've tuned it all out.
I feel it's been pretty overexposed at this point. But I would agree with you that this was a very strong showing of it. I hope it does well. I have a weird feeling that it's not going to quite sort of land as well as it might suggest it's going to, based on how it looks. But
I can see it coming out hitting a 77 and then like maybe not selling all that well.
Yeah, like I think it's, for me anyway, it's veering dangerously close to, and this isn't necessarily like an attack on the game itself, because I know you enjoyed it, but like in the sort of Banishers realm.
Probably why I liked it more when I saw this trailer.
Sure. And that's not like I enjoyed that for what I played of it as well. But I think that, coming from former Witcher devs, that might be an issue of expectation versus reality. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially because they are trying to get out front of everyone else September 3rd, obviously. But that is a very crowded month that it is $70 as well, which I think might be a mistake. Like they're pricing it like a AAA game.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Among Us Story on Guard apparently is a new story-based Among Us game, and then you have the TV show. They got shadow dropped on Paramount Plus. Great. 007 First Light got DLC.
We're back in 20 seconds.
Okay. Turok Origins is coming fall 2026. Just a reminder. And then another reminder for Armistice coming winter 2026. This is that it kind of looks like Returnal-esque. I believe it's coming to Game Pass. Aeon 2 is coming September 26th to PC. This is a NetEase game. Visually, it looked pretty good. But this was another ad block, everyone. Monster Hunter Wilds DLC coming 2027. So you'll get that next year if you want an expansion for Monster Hunter Wilds. I liked Monster Hunter Wilds for what I played, but I do think it wasn't as good as World, and the end game was just pretty bad. Swords of Legend got revealed. This looked to be, it's either a Souls-like or an action game. Couldn't tell. There wasn't really knockback in the trailer. We just saw kind of a 1v1 boss fight. Looked decent. No date on that one. Hot Wheels Infinite Rush coming September 24th. This is a kind of Forza-esque Hot Wheels game where they're just like, hey, gonna be Hot Wheels cars. You have the open world, go explore. So it doesn't look like they're doing DLC with Forza anymore. They decided to make their own game. That's coming September 24th, which I think bad choice.
I agree. What were we talking about?
Well, I went through all the ad block games. Probably nothing for you to say that. But then I was on Hot Wheels Infinite Rush, which I said doesn't look inherently bad. It looks like a Forza Horizon-esque Hot Wheels game. But the fact they're releasing it September 24th basically tells me they're putting it out to die.
Yeah.
Sonic Crossworlds got some updates. They said that you will get a Godzilla themed racing map next year, along with an Evangelion map. And then they announced a new indie game called Sonic Pico Park, which is taking obviously the indie game Pico Park and giving you Sonic characters. Really interesting.
Yeah, odd choices all around. I mean, I know Pico Park is a very popular indie sort of friend sloppy kind of game, but crossing over with Sonic and Godzilla, like Sonic Cross Worlds trying to lean into just sort of not meme territory, but just like it's just an amalgamation of things at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean, their DLC had video game characters, cartoon like. I mean, they had SpongeBob, they got the Mutant Mayhem Turtles in it, but they also had like Mega Man, and they are kind of becoming what if we're the Fortnite of kart racers, as opposed to like Smash and Mario Kart 8, which was like what if we're the video. We had a lot of video game characters, right? It's an interesting strategy.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan 3 was revealed, and it's coming July 1st, so you don't have to wait long for that if you are a big Attack on Titan fan and want to have a third game where it tells you the entire story. I'm just saying, like, anime games, for some reason, are trapped in this thing where they're like, hey, what if we just make the same game multiple times? It's going to be the same story multiple times.
They're going to get it right the third time.
We got another trailer for Clutch coming spring 2027. This is from former Playground developer devs who did reveal their trailer earlier in the week. It is very Forza-esque.
Yep.
Chronicles Medieval is coming to early access 2026. Were you impressed by this one?
I mean, impressed is maybe the wrong word, but it just speaks to me, like, as a big Total War guy. The fact that there is like RTS elements, but you can go in and control individual units on the battlefield. It's kind of like what's the other game? But it's where you're time traveling and you can like ride cars through. That's going to annoy me. King Masters, I think, is the name. Is it King
I'm
Masters?
not sure. I was going to say Kingdom Under Fire, which is an old game that I used to play on the Xbox 360, which kind of had you had units, and you could zoom in and become the kind of Dynasty Warriors-esque.
Yeah, King Makers is the crazy one where you've got like machine guns and grenades and stuff in medieval times. It's in that realm where it's kind of giving me the fantasy fulfillment that I've always conceptually had in my head when I've played the Total War games. You know, the battle strategy was always the best part for me. So being able to actually place myself in the fights that I set up and play them myself is a very interesting concept.
Sea of Remnants got a reveal trailer. And again, I don't remember. I think this was the one where they were singing. Is that right?
It's like a Sea of Thieves kind of piratey thing. This was shown, I think, like revealed at a State of Play, I want to say.
Yes, I remember. I remember the name.
But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not for me. I'm less on board now after this trailer than I was the first one, and I wasn't even really on board with the first trailer.
Power World 1.0 is coming July 10th, and let me tell you, they're really getting aggressive with the IP infringement, because when I saw it, I was like, oh, was this like Pokemon Masters or so? I genuinely thought they were Pokemon. So,
well, they continue to win in court against Nintendo, so I guess why not?
Next one, big announcement for a lot of people. Wolf Among Us 2 has been re-revealed. It's coming 2027, allegedly. Well, we'll see if they hold that date. They've also said that Wolf Among Us Remastered is coming this holiday. So if you want to experience that before the sequel next year. Are you a Wolf Among Us guy, Sam?
You bet your ass I am. It's probably, outside of maybe Tales from the Borderlands, my favorite Telltale game.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very, very much on board. I blew up in the Discord because I just gave up hope on this ever happening. I still don't have complete faith that it is going to happen, but they've come out after all this time. I mean, Jeff said it's been 8 years since we've really heard much of anything of substance outside of little tidbits. So hopefully it's real this time.
Yeah, but this is one of those, like, maybe we pick in fantasy when we're doing our fantasy like next year, right? And then it's like, does it make the year though? Does it make the year though? All right, last 3 announcements of the show. Stellar Blade Blood Rain got a reveal trailer. Can I just say, visually, absolutely stunning. Combat looks so fluid, fun. They've taken away the sword. You now have like you melee combat, fists. You're just punching, ducking, dodging, doing cool acrobat. Like, absolutely blown away with what was shown here. I can't believe, when was Stellar Blade? Like, I was really surprised that they showed so much, because I feel like I just played Stellar Blade, but it must have been, was that 2023?
I think it was 2024.
Really?
I think so. Because that was the same year as Helldivers, I think.
Stellar Blade came out 2024, April 2024. Wow. Two years. And they have, I mean, obviously there's no date on this. That could have been a very contained vertical sliced, right? But I was absolutely blown away. And I know people have found AI Gen AI text on the size, which is, I think, going to what you were talking about with, like, does that ultimately affect your, like, what you're experiencing? Because it is just random words that, like, we wouldn't even notice while you're playing. But I hope that does get replaced in the game. Because the game looks phenomenal.
Yeah. I will certainly be watching the AI conversation on this one. But as long as it doesn't, like, go crazy and it doesn't do anything egregious, then I really want to play this, put it that way. So let me play.
Me too. Yeah. I imagine it's going to be multi-platform.
I would have thought so.
Just because it wasn't at the state of play. Yeah. Stellar Blade 1 on Xbox yet?
I don't believe so, no.
Interesting.
Because that was published by Sony.
Oh, okay.
And this one isn't. So yes. I imagine that they're freeing themselves in that regard.
Gotcha. Yeah, new character. Little baby faced, which can, that Asians age well, everyone. All right, let's just say that. So if you're a little off put by the baby face and adult body, I don't know what to tell you. Street Fighter 6 got DLC year 4. Looked to be generic. I was like, all right, they're saving this thing in the show. And obviously they kept this as a kind of segue, because the final character revealed was Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. I don't think we have much to say on Street Fighter DLC, but obviously that leads to the main reveal, the big closer, Final Fantasy VII Revelation. Bro, Jeff did it. He got it. I was absolutely cinema, pure cinema. I've watched this numerous times. Obviously, they have the director come out. They have Matt Mercer come out and chat things. But the fact that they're showing so much and they're saying it's spring 2027, like we knew the game was far along. The way they've been talking about it, we all expected to see it here, most likely launching day one on all platforms as well. But everything they showed just absolutely blew me away. I'm not a big open world fan, as everyone knows. This game is fully open world. Obviously, you have the airship. They were saying you can decide where you want to go. Like if you want to go to Wutai, you can go to Wutai. If you want to go any location, you just take off and then you parachute down. But they've like updated the combat system. Vincent and Sid are playable, which I think their combat looks freaking awesome. They've added a job system which will change your outfits. So I know Tifa was showing off for sure. Everyone wink wink in a black mage outfit. I can't wait for this game. This is by far my most anticipated game in 2027, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't know that I'm in love with the remake trilogy thus far. I really, really, really like both of them. I've platinum both of them, Christ. Um, but I think that Revelation is already showing things that have me far more interested. Naturally, like just knowing where the story goes, the fact that the weapons are now like a major part of it, and how they're being presented. Speaking of like kaiju things
Mm-hmm.
earlier, like I like the concept that there could, in theory, be these like kaiju size monsters that are just in specific parts of the world map, and you can fly the high wind past them and see them, and if you're feeling up to it, you can parachute out, jump down, and fight them. That's pretty sick. And it seems that based on the fact that it's going multi-platform day one, Square really are trying to build this up as maybe one of their biggest games ever,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of sort of hype and inevitably crazy expectations that somehow they will fail to exceed, even if the game does do incredibly well, because that's what Square Enix is like. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait either, and I'm not a super fan, so I'm wonder when. Obviously, it's said sort of spring, early next year. I wonder when exactly that is. Hopefully, not February.
April.
Okay,
Well, spring is March, April, May, right?
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
So I imagine April seems right to me.
Okay.
Give it to me on my birthday. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I was really blown away. I don't know what I expected to see, but they exceeded it. So I'm really happy. Revelation also didn't make sense. Probably should have guessed that one if we're thinking our words, but didn't get that one.
I think it's one of the only words we didn't think of
Yeah.
when we were spitballing. So that's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, that is Summer Games Fest, everyone. Sam, obviously, we'll wrap it up there, but we'll wrap up our segment there. But closing thoughts on the show. For my personal taste, there was maybe more. I don't know if there's more here than the State of Play, but I feel like the show was better than State of Play for me, just because even if there wasn't like everything for me, there were a lot of big announcements. Things just hit harder here, I think.
Yeah, I think that well, not to jump the shark. I think State of Play would go middle for me, and then
Mm.
State of Play is Summer Game Fest. Sorry, is right at the top. According to my memory, I would say that this is by far the best Summer Games
Oh,
Fest.
I said I was like, it says I was seeing people rate this like a 7 out of 10, and I was like, I don't possibly see how you can like the State of Play for me was like 8, right?
Sure.
Like even if it's not, and I think the last two State of Plays before it were 9, 10 out of like those were phenomenal shows. If I gave a State of Play an 8, like this is a almost as close, like 9 out of 10 for me, like showcase. I just think the pacing and the game shown off were that high quality that you can't help but be impressed. So when people are over there like, oh, no good game, I'm like, you just don't like video games. All right. If you're watching these showcases and there's nothing for you, because I've seen people say that like, they'll show the release calendar from like September to November. It's like, oh, I'm not even interested in any of those games. So it's like, I don't think you like gaming then. Like it's just, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our final showcase. Long episode here, everyone. Hope you enjoy it. The Xbox Games Showcase. Obviously, we did a live reaction to this just yesterday. And we have about 28 games to talk through. A lot of these are on Game Pass, everyone. I think most of these, except the 1 or 2, are on Game Pass. So if you're looking for specifics, please go look up the game individually. I did not write down each and every Game Pass title. But we started with Gears of War E-Day. We got I would say about 10-minute-ish trailer showing off the gameplay for E-Day, and I think overall looked really good. It looked basically, we said this during the show, it's Gears of War. It looked like Gears of War with some additions, like Marcus could climb a little higher. I saw him hop in between that. Like they added some things that looked a little more fluid. But overall, if you know what Gears of War is, I don't feel like this really changes the mold of Gears of War.
Yeah, to say like disappointed is strong, but I guess I was, as I said during the reaction, like slightly let down with how sort of just iterative it seems. Not that I was expecting it to go like crazy, breaking into a new genre necessarily, but from the way that they were discussing E-Day and leaning into like the horror elements of Gears 1, I was hoping again for that kind of slightly more on the back foot vibe where the locusts are just overwhelming the city and you might have limited ammunition or there aren't many weapons lying around, and you can't just sort of like curb stomp locusts into the ground like it's nothing. That's not what we're getting. So that's a bit of a bummer. I guess that's my personal hopes and dreams more so than necessarily objective reality. But you like for a Gears game, it looks very good. So that's exciting. I think the only thing that's sort of holding me back is I do wonder perhaps why this took the coalition so long, because of how just like Gears it is. You know, I think outside of Hivebusters, which was at the launch of Series X, it was Gears as their Gears 5 as their last game in 2019.
Yeah, 2019 was Gears 5. They did do the Matrix Unreal demo.
Sure.
If you want to count that, which I think is silly, but
and obviously they've been noted as being like helping out a lot of other studios as well, which is like fair, but I think that it's a tale of two sides here for me, where the game in a vacuum looks very good, but I think that some of the other expectations and everything else was maybe a little on the underwhelming side.
Yeah, and we know from the developer, the deep dive, I should say, not developer direct, the deep dive after the fact, like they have upgraded the body like explosion system, right? Yes. And it show more gore. It will have an updated horde mode. I think it was horde mode Siege, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is like a 12-person horror mode now, which I think is, you know, teams of 3, which I think is interesting. It'll have a multiplayer suite. It's fully co-op, 4-player co-op. So they have all of the things you need in a Gears of War. I'm gonna play it. I like Gears of War. I'm excited to, you know, as long as it's a good game, I'm not going to have many complaints. I think I'm going to like it better than Gears 5, just because Gears 5 did try to, hey, what if we make it like an open world-esque thing? They were saying like you have more area to explore while you're in these environments. So we'll see how it goes. I think obviously it's coming October 6th. I don't know if I said that, but the big talking point before the showcase was Jeff Grubb, and shout out Jeff, he really wants those clicks before the showcase goes live. He said that he heard the decision was made late that this is going to be an Xbox console exclusive. It's still coming to PC. So there was a bunch of back and forth. You know, people were posting, hey, it's been rated for PS5. Like, how can it be a console exclusive? We did get confirmation that this is an Xbox console exclusive. So the only way to play this currently, Series X and S PC will not be coming to PS5 as of right now. They said there's no plans to do that. I wonder if we feel differently, but yeah, what do you think about the exclusivity?
I mean, as we have said on countless episodes, like exclusivity in and of itself, even if people argue that it's anti-consumer, I think it's pro-industry. Like, it's how the industry has worked. It's how the people who are succeeding continue to succeed. And thus, Xbox, in a vacuum, doing exclusives again is a good thing because it incentivizes competition and it prioritizes the box and makes people willing to invest and all of these things. But yeah, I don't really know how I feel about E-Day being exclusive. It feels like of the various titles that they have coming out over the next 12 to 18 months, this seems an odd one to select as opposed to some of the others. I get why. Maybe it's because it wasn't already announced for PlayStation. But I think it also like inherently then puts a lot of pressure on Coalition to deliver. Not that they won't deliver; they've got a good track record. But I do wonder what this looks like in reality, and therefore, but by the sheer definition of it being an Xbox console exclusive, how the parameters internally for success for this game have evolved. If this decision was made as last minute as it seems. And I hope that the Coalition are sort of prepared and also shielded, regardless of what the, air quotes, consequences of not being a multi-platform game are.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I said after the fact that Xbox's strategy seems confusing to me. I know we've said like Xbox needs not only exclusives, but high quality exclusives. There's no point in making games exclusives if they're not 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10s consistently. No one's buying, and I mean, no disrespect to this, but nobody's buying an Xbox for games like South of Midnight, Avowed, Keep, like that doesn't sell consoles. And not to say those are bad games, because I enjoyed most of those games, right? You need to hit that quality bar. That was the reason Xbox wasn't selling the last 10 years before you said, hey, we give up, we're going multi-platform. So the fact they're now saying, well, we're still a multi-platform publisher on a case-by-case basis, which is what Matt Booty said after the fact. He got interviewed. He said, our live service games are going to be multi-platform. And he said everything else is case-by-case basis unless it's already been announced for PS5. Then it's, if it's already been announced, it's coming. Which that language is kind of exactly what they said 3 years ago when they did the update, right? Like, we're going to learn, we're going to study, it's case by case basis. Like, they haven't really changed their strategy despite what people are trying to claim of exclusives are back. Well, you have one exclusive this year, one exclusive next year, which we'll see as we go through the showcase. So exclusives aren't back. One exclusive is back this year. One exclusive is back next year. What happens when nobody buys it and you don't see Game Pass subscriptions accelerate to play Gears of War, to play the other title, which we'll talk about as a console, because it very much applies to that title, which I think is even more interesting why that's a Xbox exclusive. Like, makes no sense. What happens then? Because apparently there's a PS5 port ready to go. Do they then go back and say, well, we need the extra revenue, let's put it back, we're not seeing the benefit? And some people said, well, Forza Horizon 6 saw a 50% increase in console sales. And my retort to that is a 50% increase of nothing is still nothing, right? Like, you weren't selling it. You're down like 600% in the last few years. You go from 100 to 150 a week. Like, that doesn't matter. That's not consequent. That's not impactful to the brand, to the industry, to the overall business. So I can't listen. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't want Xbox to have exclusives. But they kind of. I don't know what their win condition is besides going multi-platform and making a ton of money, because the Xbox One and the Series X generation has really dug their hardware fate, I think. Like, no one has bought their consoles. Then they went multi-platform. Now you're expecting people to come back and buy consoles that are more expensive than they were at launch 6 years ago, or wait till next year when you put out a machine that's $1,000+ to play one game a year, maybe more, depending on if they actually sell.
Cadence.
Yeah, if they actually sell, which you've given no one reasons to buy the game, because you can just sign up to Game Pass, play it, and then get your money back, which is, I'm not saying it's a pro-consumer thing to do that for sure. Game Pass is very pro-consumer, but it's not helping your business. It's not helping overall. So I'm not making any declarations, but I don't think this is going to move the needle for their hardware business. I don't think this is going to change their overall future as a multi-platform publisher. I don't think exclusives are coming back and saving the hardware business. I'm happy to be wrong. If Gears of War, if millions show up for Gears of War and buy Series X's for some reason, great. But I just don't see it happening with an IP that doesn't have the reverence anymore that it used to among most gamers.
Yeah, I think like if we are observing reality as we can see it without some of the internal data, like there is just no conceivable world in which this pans out the way that it likely would have to in order to continue justifying the strategy. So you have to look at it, at least for the time being, until we're proven wrong, as an experiment, like the 4 games were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I posted on Twitter. I said, like, if this is true, and it obviously now is true that E-Day is exclusive, the impetus really is on Xbox fans now.
Yep.
Like, you know, whether you say it's placating, it's just catering to your fans, it's making the hardcore, however you frame it, or you say that they're doing it out of their sincerity and genuine and the bottom of their heart, they really mean what they're saying. Regardless of any of that contextualization, you now have to, as an Xbox fan, show Xbox that this is the right move. And the only language they understand is money, as any business does. And I'm going to break the news, as I said on Twitter. If you're a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber and you just play Gears of War E-Day through Game Pass, that is not enough, because they are just churning the money from you that they already have.
Mm-hmm.
They need to see, as you said, like an uptick in various metrics, whether it is console sales or Game Pass subscriptions or just copies sold of the game. And I would say multiple of those things need to happen, not necessarily all, to a significant enough degree, not necessarily en masse, but enough for them to take note. Because if that doesn't happen, if everybody who's on Game Pass just plays it through Game Pass and nobody really buys an Xbox or nobody subscribes or nobody buys the game, then they're going to go, we just lost a lot of money. Now, they might not immediately backtrack, but they'll then start getting shakier and shakier. And if that happens with the other game that we'll talk about in a bit, then the tower really starts wobbling and we're back. Like Asher has said in the past week that they want to become the #1 gaming company by 2030. Sorry to burst the bubble. There is no way that happens outside of being a multi-platform publisher, because they were practically already that when they were just leaning into the multi-platform just by default because of the amount of stuff that they own. Their Xbox as an entity is this return of Xbox that isn't happening in 4 years, because Gears is end of this year. They have the one supposed console exclusive next year. If that's the cadence, that means by 2030 you're going to have what, 5 console exclusives max? That ain't going to cut it. Like if you were going to go with a strategy and really, really try for it, as many people have said, this isn't exclusive to us. You would need to really like just bite the bullet short term and say, we're cutting everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cut it all. Even the things that we've announced for PlayStation, cut it all. Because if you take everything that is coming out next year, for example, alone, and all of it was exclusive to Xbox, then you start having a conversation of like, well, there's going to be more stuff next year that we still don't know about. But already next year is shaping up to be quite good in terms of exclusives. But if we just have that one game, even if you can play all the others through Game Pass, which of course you can, I don't know, man. It's yeah.
Just as we go through the show, we were saying it yesterday, like we were looking for that logo to see which of the new announcements or the new revealed platforms, like does it have the multi-platform? Is it PlayStation? It's a Switch, and basically all of them do. So they're trying to toe this line of placating to the Xbox hardcore that wants exclusives, but also saying, hey, we're not giving up our multi-platform strategy. And again, two games in 2 years when the rest are non-exclusive or multi-platform, that doesn't mean exclusives are coming back. This line towing that they're doing, I think, really is, to me, it looks like a way out where they're going to, and maybe we're wrong. Maybe it sells gangbusters, and I'm happy to be wrong. But I can totally see a world where they say these games didn't meet, our sales expectations because we limited it to PC and Xbox, and compared to the other games where we put them on other platforms which perform better. So we think that is ultimately like a healthier business decision, because Asha said, like, we're not going to make fast decisions. We're going to make the right decisions based on data. So unless the data supports the argument for exclusives, which it hasn't for Xbox for 13 years, because they've had either no exclusives, and by no exclusives, I mean they didn't make any games, or low quality exclusives, or games that don't sell hardware. Like, the only way I see things really, aside, which like Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout, if those come out and say, hey, those are exclusive to Xbox, then maybe we see a shift, but those are years away, and that's a whole different conversation. So their 4-year timeline to get to number one seems highly optimistic if they are going to try to push this hardware exclusive, get back into the normalized console ecosystem, especially with something like Game Pass, which cannibalizes your sales of first party and kind of limits the success you can have on that platform. But yeah, interesting. We'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Fable got a new trailer. Haley Atwell has been revealed to be the villain of Fable. We also got a release date. Obviously, this was delayed. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It is coming February 23rd, 2027 now. You can pre-order it. It is $70, or you can get the premium edition, as I did, which gives you 5-day early access if you want to play it on the 18th, and the story expansion. So they are already promising expansion for this. I thought the trailer was great. Haley Atwell looks awesome. I can't wait to see her as a villain. Jack of Blades is returning as well, seemingly, since this was the last clip in the trailer. But yeah, I love Fable. That was my most anticipated game this year. I was bummed it got delayed because I was looking forward to playing it, but I will be there day one. I already locked it in.
Yeah, I think this is probably my favorite showing of Fable thus far, because I think it towed the line far better in showing both tonal sides. This was a far darker trailer for the most part, but had the levity sort of woven throughout it. And like you say, like a lot of allusions to things from Fable's past, whether it is Jack of Blades, or I've seen people point out like the Sword of Aeons as well is visible. So like I don't know if on day one necessarily, but because I think my lingering questions, which I spoke about a few weeks ago, still remain, of like, I want to see venturing in the open world, and I want to see like stumbling upon a side quest or anything. I want to see exactly what that looks like. But everything else, like, I think that I don't want to preemptively say looks worth the wait, but it looks like one of the most high quality things that Xbox Game Studios has been able to produce outside of like a Forza in quite a long time. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we got the Demon Doors returning as well, which I always love. I'm always a big fan. So I'm excited for Fable. They went to Halo Campaign Evolved, excuse me, stupid name. I even wrote it wrong. I put Combat Evolved in the document. We got a release date for this, July 28th. It is still coming to PlayStation 5 as is Fable, despite the rumors that those were going to get pulled. They did not. So we saw some glimpses of the prequel missions. Sergeant Johnson, who, can I just say, not a fan of the new voice actor. Don't like it. Doesn't, kind of sounds like someone cosplaying Sergeant Johnson and not doing a good job. So, I mean, I'll be there. I think the game looks visually very, very good. But yeah, I'll play this co-op eventually. I'm not in a rush to get through Halo again.
Yeah, I agree on the voice actor. I also think that like the writing had me a little bit concerned because it seemed very quippy and sort of. I was almost reminded of like Marvel writing, and obviously I'm a massive Marvel fan, but that's not really what I would be expecting or looking for from Halo. It also doesn't really feel like Johnson either, and obviously with a voice actor that doubles the effect. I think that the game looks good. I still remain a little bit concerned that it is um, outside of like the actual aesthetic design of things. It has lost a bit of the Halo veneer.
It is very bright,
It's very Unreal
colorful.
Engine,
Yes, Unreal Engine. That's a good way to describe Unreal Engine 5. Yeah.
which isn't inherently a bad thing. I just hope that some of the design elements and aesthetic elements that were present in Campaign Evolved in its various iterations do remain. Like we haven't seen the flood yet, as far as I'm aware,
We
in
haven't.
any of the trailers. So
Nope.
hopefully that is like, again, sort of speaking about Gears, if you're going to go horror, because you have the capacity to do that now, and the flood are meant to be scary. So yeah, I mean, I'll be picking it up, obviously, physical copy, just for the novelty of it more so than anything. I've played through Campaign Evolved, Combat Evolved multiple times already, as everybody has. But yeah, I didn't really expect it to be that soon.
Mm.
I was maybe thinking like late August, but not that I'm complaining.
Yeah. Well, end of next month. So
Yeah.
next up, big one for you and me, Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy got a new trailer. This is coming August 27th. This one is on Game Pass and every other platform. This is a prequel set 15 years before the events of A Plague Tale Innocence. It stars Sophia from A Plague Tale Requiem. We saw more, we saw, I mean, for the first time, combat in this game. So it seems they have, I don't want to say ditch stealth. Maybe there are stealth sections in the game, but this is very much more an action adventure game with melee combat. You saw her like sword, dual wielding a dagger, stabbing people, like, gutting them. Like it seems more of an action game, which I'm not opposed to. I hope it doesn't make it feel more generic compared to what A Plague Tale normally is. But hopefully the story is just a high quality because I obviously big fans of Asobo.
Yeah, it frustratingly looks better than I was hoping for in terms of my fantasy prospects. Yeah, I too have those concerns. I think I've voiced those concerns multiple times about deviating from the formula of what we know Plague Tale to be, but it looks promising. I will be interested to see exactly how much the mythology elements, like the Minotaur and whatnot, how much those play into the story in the game and gameplay mechanics. But yeah, I can't wait, and I'm bummed that it's not coming out next year because I'm going to be losing some points.
Yeah, you are. Persona 4 Revival got a new trailer showing off actual clips of the game. They've added some of the more modern features from Persona 5 to Persona 4. They've added new moves that the characters can use. I think it looks phenomenal. It's coming February 18th, 2027. So this game will be releasing the same day my Fable Early Access goes live. So this one is going to be on the back burner for me. Persona 4 is my favorite Persona. I know I love Persona 5, but Persona 4 Golden, I think, it is my favorite. So I'm looking forward to this, but I will get to it when I get to it next year.
Yes, I am relieved because dropping it in Fantasy Critic, I was spooked for a minute there. But it's done me well. I'm saved. I got a free slot. So, I mean, again, no denying it looks great, but as you would expect, Persona just isn't for me.
Yeah, I should have believed in myself and counterpicked you.
Yeah.
State of Decay 3 showed up. Undead Labs finally decided it was time to show off their game after 6 years. The game is coming 2027. It looks good. I wasn't blown away. Again, I've watched the showcase a few times now. I wasn't blown away with it. Like, it does have a very Left 4 Dead-esque quality. Obviously, State of Decay has more mechanics to that, like base building, homestead stuff, like building a community. But what they did show did kind of come off as generic zombie shooter, right? Multiplayer. This is also coming to PlayStation 5. So platforms were announced, and it's a multi-platform game, as we were talking about their strategy. So I'm not like, oh my God, I can't wait to play State of Decay 3. It looks fine. Maybe I'll play it when I get around to it, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, because this has been sort of pumped up and hyped up behind the scenes on social media from people in the know for a while. And again, similar to Gears in a way, it kind of just looks like more State of Decay, and that's not a bad thing. But it doesn't seem to be quite as much of a leap outside of, I guess, maybe some of the visuals that I was expecting. Obviously, we don't have deep dives into gameplay systems and whatnot, but I didn't really see anything on display that wowed me. And I think that this is really, I mean, there are multiple points, but this is just one of the points in which that strategy of exclusives kind of starts to already fall apart. Because as we said, like, neither of the other two State of Decays are on PlayStation. It wasn't announced for PlayStation.
I imagine this falls into their live service category.
I guess, but even then, it's like, well, but surely you would you not? Not that they're necessarily like super interconnected and you have to play, but like, wouldn't you want to introduce PlayStation to State of Decay before this? I don't know. It seems weird.
Yeah, it's a choice for sure, especially because it has been hyped up as one of their big games this generation, and now when we finally see it, it's like, yeah, it's okay. It's coming everywhere. A Sea of Thieves custom sea update. You can make your own. You can make your own stuff in Sea of Thieves. I stopped showing Sea of Thieves at these showcases.
As I said to you, Kev, introducing a way for user-generated content to come into the game. That's a nice little segue into sunsetting official full-on support so that Rare can do something else.
I hope so. Every time Rare's logo shows up, I pray it's something else. A game that's not going to get canceled. And
then you start hearing those shanties and your heart sinks.
Yep. Metro 2039 got a new trailer and a new release date. It is coming February 2027 now, because my games just keep getting delayed, and Fantasy Critic, really, really cool. There's nothing scheduled for November, just GTA. Everyone's really scared. It looks good visually, very stunning. I'm not a Metro guy, as I said during the stream. I've tried Exodus. Maybe I'll try some of the other ones because it does look interesting. It does look visually and stunning. I just want a more linear experience. But yeah, new Metro, February 2027.
I will be there day one.
Next up, the first world premiere of the showcase, and what a premiere! Bad Magpie coming 2027. You play as a little bird causing chaos. What are we doing? Why? What was this? Why was this here?
I like it though. It's not something that I necessarily know I'm going to play, but I do. It was funny. It was a little bit cute. I don't mind it. It's harmless, Kev.
Yeah, the taking up showcase space. All right, okay. These are the lulls. All right. Wolong 2, Wings of Ember, coming early 2027. They didn't give a date. This is a sequel to Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Of course, that Souls-like from Team Ninja, who may be the most productive studio in gaming. They seemingly always have a game coming out every single year. Absolutely crazy. You gotta imagine they're reusing assets between these games, right? Yeah, like I can't fathom it. But a sequel for Wolong. If you're excited for that, Sam, you said you were a fan of the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I think of the sort of adjacent Souls-like-y kind of realm. It was one of the better ones, not like top tier, but it's something that I will certainly get to. More than likely, let's be honest, I'm going to have to cover this for IGN. So
you're gonna play a lot of Wolong.
250 hours incoming, guaranteed. I bet.
Jesus.
Okay, now.
Join Us is coming March 2027. This is a friend slop cult game where you can recruit people to join your cult. I thought this looked absolutely terrible. Absolutely straight up garbage. I have no idea what people are watching when they look at this or why they thought it was worth putting in the showcase, but
yeah, it seemed incredibly out of place compared to like basically everything else in the show. So it's for someone, I guess, maybe. Not me.
Next up, maybe the biggest surprise of the show.
Yeah.
Ninja Theory showed up with Senua, not Hellblade 3, just Senua, coming 2027 to all platforms. It's coming to PS5. This is a single-player action-adventure game that continues the story after Hellblade 1 and 2, but with a more focus on combat. They've spelled it out in the trailer, certainly, but also in blog posts after the fact. It seems they very much taken the criticism Hellblade 2 got. While it was a visually stunning game, the combat was mediocre to say the least. But you see even here a lot of hack and slash, her stealing access from enemies, using those, chucking weapon. Like there's a lot more
boss fights.
Yeah, a lot more on display here for people that were looking for that. They said they're going to keep they're going to combine the narrative that they're known for but add in these elements. It'll deal with Senua trying to traverse between this purgatory state between life and death. I didn't expect it. I got really excited while watching it. I'm in day one, of course. I love Hellblade. Hellblade 2 I liked and love. Obviously, we did a whole discussion about Hellblade 2, but I'm really interested to see, is this going to pick up immediately at the end of Hellblade 2? Like, how do they bridge that gap to get to where she was and what we're seeing here? So, yeah. I'm in.
As am I. Another weird one though, like in terms of the exclusives thing, because Hellblade has been on both, but for both games now, but they didn't have to, and also the weird thing is that Matt Booty, after the show in the interview rounds that he was doing, said that the strategy their idea was that when the game gets a release date, that's when they say the platform, so they're super clear. Well, State of Decay and this didn't get dates. They got
2027's a date. Yeah.
So what? Look, whatever. The game looks sick. I'm fully on board. I can't wait. I love the fact as well, Kev, that at the end of the trailer, you can hear the music. It's like a little motif going back to the music over the Hela fight at the end of Hellblade 1. And it almost looks like it's Hela again, the sort of like weird shadowy figure that's there. So,
I will say the song that plays during the trailer is a banger. Like, I've listened to it a few times. I'm like, damn. Really
all of the trailer songs are bangers for Hellblade, to be frank. I think like all the trailers for Hellblade 2 I thought had excellent music as well. Did you see though, not that it's a massive thing, just out curiosity, I saw this not trending, but on socials. They've done a brief little tweak to Hellblade 2's name.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, because it's Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, right?
Yeah.
Well, they've now changed it, so it's Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga.
Really? What?
Yeah, they've swapped it round on Steam and everything. So I assume that's to not get it confused, because this game is just called Senua, so people you don't want to type in Senua and actually accidentally pick up this game.
Yeah, I've seen people calling this Hellblade 3, and I was like, we need to be clear. This isn't Hellblade 3. Hellblade is a very narrative focused first game, and this is going to have a narrative, but they're making it very clear. So that's interesting. Did not see that. Fallout 76 came for their yearly showing for the Infestations.
Get it out of here.
Doom the Dark Ages Revelations DLC is coming July 7th. Adds new weapons. Hell freezes over. Doom guy takes off his clothes. Great.
I like the allusions to what seem like classic Doom levels. I wonder what that means, how that's integrated, and whether that's an indication of where like the franchise could be going in the future, like where the gun is like center in the screen. I know that is an option in the Doom games now, but for it to be a more sort of standard thing, maybe they are really going to go back old school. I don't know.
Crazy Taxi World Tour got revealed. It's coming 2027. They used the classic Offspring song, so they really wanted you to know it's Crazy Taxi coming back. It looks good for Crazy. I've never been a Crazy Taxi guy, so I'm excited for the fans of that franchise. This is using Gen AI in a big way, apparently, for like backgrounds and art assets. And yeah, Sega has been pretty open about that. So if you care about that, unfortunately, more like AI Taxi, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think unfortunately this is probably just going to be a pass for me, which is a bummer, but it doesn't sound very good, the AI usage. So
I really hope that isn't a trend with Sega, like
for all of their other,
like Golden Axe. Please don't do that with Golden Axe, because I'm interested in that one. Don't make RGG and them do it. Like, please don't.
Fingers
don't
crossed.
Make Atlas do it. Don't make Atlas do it for sure.
Christ, can you imagine?
We got an anniversary Series X for the 25th anniversary coming. It takes that old school translucent green and adds it to your Series X console. Also a 25th translucent green Series X controller. Looks dope. Very cool console. Just not worth probably the $900 it would cost you.
So would you mind if I say something contentious?
Don't. You better not say you don't like the translucent green. That is a classic look.
I think it looks bad.
Oh my god, no.
And this isn't like an Xbox screen exclusive thing. I just think translucent tech in general is horrible. I've never liked it.
Nah, I mean, at least as long as you're consistent, but I can't personally agree with you.
I get it's iconic. Like, don't get me wrong, I get that people will love it, but I would never, ever, ever in a million years, even if I was on Xbox, pick that up.
I would love the controller. Like, yeah.
Well, they gave them all away free to the people at FanFest.
Yeah, as long as you didn't have a media badge, like a lot of our podcast brethren. So.
Yeah.
Pandering. Age of Empires 4, Raiders of the North expansion is coming fall 2026. So if you're into Age of Empires, that's for you. Minecraft Dungeons 2. This was leaked a few weeks ago. Is coming September 29th to all platforms. The sequel to Minecraft Dungeons, obviously an ARPG Diablo-esque style Minecraft game. Not much for me to talk about there.
I'm not subjecting myself to that after the first one.
Another big surprise, which I'm pretty high on this game after seeing it. Magicians, The Devil's Deal, coming 2027. This will be in Game Pass. This is coming from Focus, and I think Uppercut was the studio name. It's kind of has some BioShock-esque vibes to it, but it's like a first-person, I want to say magic shooter, where you have a wand and you're like doing spells, but you can also like throw cards, make like you're using magician stuff to take down enemies. I thought it was really awesome.
Yeah, and a really novel concept, and I think that alongside that, they've got a really interesting art style as well, where it is sort of, I mean, I said during the live react that it was almost like Dishonored-esque in terms of the character models. And I think that going for that sort of not photorealistic look is going to do this game a world of good.
Yeah, looks really awesome. So next year for that sometime. Valor Mortis, the next game from the Ghost Runner developers. This is a Souls-like, first-person Souls-like, so they're putting their own unique spin on it. This is coming September 24th because no other games are coming September 24th or 25th or 26th. They got that date all to themselves. This will be on Game Pass. There's a demo available right now if you're interested. You play as Napoleon, I believe, and you're taking on monsters and robots. It's a very alternate history. So I think the aesthetic is cool, but not a game for me.
It certainly is a game for me, and I will be playing it, but not at release because
I was gonna say,
Resonant called my name.
Yeah, well, you got 2 days to beat Resident, and then Valor Mortis right there.
Yeah, but then there's Townfall as well.
Yeah, and Onimusha if you want to play that. Maybe the demo really sells you, you know? All right, we're going to go through these next 3 pretty quick. Elder Scrolls Online Thieves Guild update coming July 8th. Microsoft Flight Simulator got a National Parks update, and Where Winds Meet has been shadow dropped onto Xbox.
I have about 5 minutes of stuff to say about Where Winds Meet, so we're going to screech to a halt.
That's amazing.
Okay.
That was the biggest lull of the showcase for me right there. Like that killed the pacing, I think. Absolutely pointless. Not to say that, like, I think the Sea of Thieves and even the Fallout 76 stuff could have been omitted, but they really need to work on the pacing for the showcase.
Yeah.
Castlevania Belmont's Curse. We got a new trailer. We got the introduction of Rose Belmont, the main character, which people are definitely not being weird about online. She looks awesome. The game looks awesome. I love the art style. It's from the Dead Cells developers, obviously. But if you are into Castlevania or Metroidvanias in general, I can't see what there isn't to like about this game. Just looks phenomenal. Coming October 15th.
Cool. I'll be playing it.
Vivarium coming 2027. This has a very old school anime-esque art style, I would say. Beautiful to look at. Seemed to be a cozy game. I don't really know what's going on in the game. It's like a life sim almost. So not for me, but I can appreciate the artistic ability here.
Yeah, I could be on board, but I need to see more of exactly what it is. But yeah, I think like probably one of the most visually interesting things out of any of the shows, just because of how like Studio Ghibli-esque it is. They really nailed that aesthetic, so that's cool. Memorable, at least.
Atlas showed back up with a Persona 6 trailer, and I use the word trailer very loosely because this was a logo reveal. Absolutely waste of my time, pointless, gave me nothing to go on. They're leaning into green, as we all expected. I think the big news is that this will be day one on Game Pass, which I think is huge for Game Pass, and also interesting that Atlas and Sega would agree to such a thing. They must be getting a sizable chunk of money from Xbox for that. So I will no doubt play it whenever it's actually coming. But based on the fact we saw nothing here, I'm still cautiously that it's like 2 years away at least.
Well, yeah, but hey, you never know. And it seems like it's maybe going in slightly spooky direction from that trailer. So is Persona 6 the game that finally gets me into the series? Almost certainly not, but you never know.
Spyro, A Realm Beyond is coming 2027 to all platforms. Toys for Bob, of course, went independent. And this is their reveal of their long rumored and pretty well known that they were going to make Spyro game. We saw a snippet of gameplay. Spyro flying using some fire smoke to propel himself through some hoops. Not much in terms of like, is it going to be a flight game? Because it did say take flight. I don't know if they're just being cheeky, or is it going to be a 3D platformer? So we'll wait to see more about that. But it's coming, I think, spring 2027 is what they said.
I really hope it still is a platformer, because I might actually be out if it's just a flying game, because that's not Spyro to me.
Yeah, it would be very strange if they didn't let him like land and like hop and like do stuff like that. I think it's weird that they're using that tagline, and all of the little snip we saw was just him flying, shooting, so like enemies were like spaced throughout the air. So it'll be interesting to see. I think people went hands-on with it, so we might get more information soon.
Okay.
Clockwork Revolution got a new trailer, another lengthy trailer for sure, after the 7 minutes it got last year. Finally got a release window coming 2027. And this is the other one that we mentioned is an Xbox console exclusive. So this will not be on PlayStation 5, which I think is very strange personally. Two things about this.
Okay.
One, it tells me they must really believe in this game. If they're marking it as one that would drive people to come pick up an Xbox, to come to game, like if they're using it that strongly as Gears of War E-Day, like they have to believe in this game. So that tells me at least some sort of internal quality bar they think this is high. But also too, as from an outside perspective, right, as someone that's not played the game or internally see it, I think it looks really good. Don't get me wrong. I know plenty of people are excited for it. Kyle, my brother, excited. Tons of people are excited for Clockwork Revolution. Does it have that pull though? I would question that personally. I don't see this as a console seller. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it comes out and scores like 92 and it's like, hey, it's one of the best games. To me, it looks like this is going to be a really good game, but I fail to see people rushing to stores to pick up a Series X for it,
Yeah. Like I feel like it's going to be one of those games that has really good word of mouth, which is great. But like you say, I don't really see how it's again why the strategy doesn't make any sense in my head, because theoretically, like with the statement you're currently presenting, what would be on the back of the Xbox box in stores would be Marcus Phoenix and the little puppet from this that swears. It's like, well, I get Marcus, like, sure, he's a stalwart, but again, like you say, I think Clockwork looks amazing. I think it has every reality of being an excellent game. But I think this has to be like a 95 for it to have a chance of being the thing that shifts units in demonstrable numbers. Like of course there will be like really hardcore RPG guys who aren't into current gen consoles, I guess, but then like the Venn diagram of people that we're comparing that would be most likely to then go, oh, I need an Xbox to play this specific game. The pool of people you're drawing from there is already incredibly restricted. So I mean, it's exciting because, like you say, like it makes me confident that this game is going to be great, and I look forward to playing it because it looks awesome. But I wonder why this one and not others. Maybe they are trying to turn it into like the next big Xbox IP. Maybe that is the play. I don't know.
Maybe that's certainly a possibility. I think that it has a lot going for it. Like has a time mechanic, action, choice and consequence seemingly matters a lot in this game. The gunplay looks really good. Like I love the art style. There's a lot going for it, as you said, but I do think it is a little unfair to put that much pressure on In Exile when they haven't made a game. Like this is their first game that will be put out under the Xbox umbrella. They were acquired 7 years ago, like eight years ago by the time it comes out. It just seems a little unfair to them that, and maybe it eventually goes multi-platform, right? Like as we said, they say it's not going to, but the plan's the plan until it's not the plan, right? So we'll see what happens. I think Xbox putting their exclusive strategy on Clockwork Revolution is strange.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at just looked up like Wasteland 3, which I think is their last game, like player numbers and sales estimates and whatnot. Wasteland 3 announced that they'd reached 2 million players. And that's, I think, across all platforms that it's available on. And then the AI of Google, which I don't like using, but just for the sake of transparency and efficiency, says that Steam sales are tracked at roughly 660,000. It was on Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass day one, so you do have to factor that in, I suppose. But again, it's like, could this be the breakout for In Exile? Potentially. It could, yeah. I think it looks like it has the potential to do that for sure. But it's also one of those where I think it could be an excellent game that just doesn't find traction.
Yeah, they need to nail the release date for this, but like give it its moment.
Yeah, it's, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, it's in the space, like presentationally, of like Outer Worlds to me, where it's like an RPG for RPG people, and it's got sort of like the quirky, zany stuff. To be clear, I think Clockwork looks better than Outer Worlds, but I don't know where the ceiling is beyond that kind of audience for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it gets super really complex into the RPG mechanics, I think that again you sort of maybe limit the interest that more casual players would have. Because if you have to manage lots of in-game systems and stuff, because it looks very complex, I think that that's where you might start losing some general audience people, because you have to keep selling it to them and showing them how all the systems work, and you might get people bouncing out then. I don't know.
We'll wait and see. And the closer before the developer direct for Gears was Xbox telling us to go fuck ourselves and showing Call of Duty again for the second year in a row.
You sniped it like 30 seconds ahead of time. That was great.
I was like, oh, we haven't seen Call of Duty yet. Then,
but what if they end the show with it?
I was so mad. It's such a bad way to end the show again. Like, who are you marketing to? The people that care about Call of Duty are not watching the Xbox showcase. I'm just telling you straight up. Like,
and they're certainly not waiting through the entirety of the showcase to get to Call of Duty.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. I tweeted Ash Sharma. I was like, brain dead move. Like, I can't believe you guys did this again. Absolutely brain dead decisions. I kind of just was mad and scrolling social media during that. So I don't know what they showed. I don't know if it looked good or not, because it's Call of Duty. Who cares?
They showed the like DMV thing, which is like an additional mode, which is like an extraction-y kind of thing, I think. Like, again, it looked competent, but like every Call of Duty looks competent. That's nothing special. It doesn't mean I'm interested in playing it. Yeah, I really struggle to understand why they chose to do that. Maybe it is because, I mean, I just said it, like the idea that, oh, well, people want to see Call of Duty. So, but if we make them wait until the end of the showcase, then they have to see the trailers for all our other games as well. And that might get them to play our other games. But that is such an ass backwards, like non-realistic expectation that I don't know that the trade-off is worth it, because it last year it left a sour taste in our mouths after what was a decent showcase, and this year it left a sour taste in our mouths after what was a good showcase. So like I think as well, like to encapsulate in slightly the direct which came after, I wonder whether it's worth Xbox exploring the idea of detaching the direct from the showcase.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that unless it's something like Starfield's direct was really good, but I didn't think this year's direct was very good. The deep dive, I was bored for most of it. I just don't think Gears has that much to, like, you don't need 30 minutes of telling me about Gears of War and all that stuff. Call of Duty, I think, had it one year, and certainly don't need 30 minutes of that. But like, yeah, they need to just do away with it. Honestly, like, I'm okay without the deep dive.
I think it would be okay to do a deep dive if it's framed like the way that PlayStation is doing this, the dedicated state of plays, where you could even tease in this showcase, say like, right, so Gears of War E-Day, we're going to show it to you at the beginning of the showcase, and then at the end of the trailer, they say, and watch out later this summer, we're going to announce, don't have to date it in the showcase, but just say later this summer, we're going to have a dedicated little live stream for you to get all the information you could possibly want about this game. What that does is it helps out with the pacing of the main show, so that you don't have this sort of like, and I mean this in the least aggressive way possible, a tumor on the end of the show of this big one thing about one game. And also, I think not having the direct immediately follow the showcase might then incentivize Xbox to encourage them to make sure that they end on a banger, because that literally is the last thing that they're showing. Whereas you have the showcase and then you can almost end on whatever you want, because then you have 30 minutes of another game to wipe the taste out of people's mouths. Obviously, that didn't really work this year because this direct, as you say, was kind of mid. But yeah, maybe that would stop them from doing Call of Duty because they can kind of bury it with the direct being an excuse. Whereas if it was clockwork and then the last thing was the end of the show for the entire day, it's like, okay, well, I don't think that they would then choose Call of Duty. Maybe they would because they're idiots. But if they weren't idiots, then they would maybe have shown a Blade or teased an Elder Scrolls 6 or something, Fallout 3 remaster, something more exciting. I don't know.
Yeah. That's certainly a possibility that's their thinking. I don't agree with that thinking, but it is what it is. That's how the Xbox showcase wrapped up. Sam, what were your overall thoughts on the showcase? For me, I said on social media, it was good, not great. I think the lack of surprises, like we really only had Senua as like the big surprise. A lot of it was just updates on games that we already knew about, some release dates, looking forward to 2027. But then you're just dragged down by things like the Call of Duty ending, the live service updates constantly, the pacing. It was a good show, but certainly I think the weakest for me of the three.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it was a good showcase. It was, but I think that for all the reasons you mentioned, and for me personally, Gears underwhelming slightly compared to what I hoped. It is my least favorite, but I still think that Xbox has a lot, lined up for itself clearly. And I think I can't remember who said it, so I won't be able to credit them. But I saw something saying that Xbox's biggest surprise wasn't a game, but a strategy. And that is kind of like where I'm at. It's like, you didn't really, it wasn't very memorable as a showcase. Like in a couple of years' time, if you asked me to go back to what they showed this time, it would be like, I think that was the year they showed E-Day. And then I might then be able to pull Senua out. But then the surprise being the strategy with the exclusives, that doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, I still don't really know where I am. So it's weird. It's a tale of two sides. It's a great showcase. It's just I really don't know how I feel about it.
For sure. Well, that is it for our week of showcases. Although, Sam, we have some breaking news that I will tell you about. Nintendo Direct confirmed for tomorrow.
Whoa!
I can't live react to it though because I will be. I'm teaching. I'm working 6:45 to 4 Tuesday and Wednesday this week, so I will be watching it on my lunch break and trying not to get spoiled until then. But Sam, giant episode this week. Obviously, we'll be back Thursday for our normal, regular-sized episode. Thank you for hanging with me here. You want to let everyone know where they can find you until then?
Well, trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for all these games in September. But in the meantime, anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney, HEA anyway.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon everywhere. It's 17I07A. Follow us at Save the Game Media over on Blue Sky to stay updated with all our latest content. Until next time, we will see you. Goodbye.
Peace.